Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, All Mage, Only I Know How to Kill Dragons. Chapter 41. Su Xin used a special method to enter the mausoleum, and the rest of the mages couldn't sit still any longer, and started to blast the magic shield with all their strength. And just for a moment, another group of mages came. Originally there were only 3 7th level mages, but now there are 6, and more 7th level mages will come later. Let's fight together, and the treasures inside will depend on your skills. Yi Kong shouted. Immediately, hundreds of mages began to bombard the magic shield together. Even if the magic shield could block the 7th order mage, it couldn't resist this kind of impact, and it was declared broken after going back and forth several times. As soon as the magic shield was broken, a group of mages couldn't wait to file in and rushed into the mausoleum. For a while, there was a bustling appearance during the rush hour of the subway. However, there is enough space inside the mausoleum, and it is not too crowded for hundreds of mages to enter it. Half an hour has passed, I don't know if it's too late. In the mausoleum hall, a mage said something pointedly. For half an hour, no one answered. Everyone looked at the environment in the mausoleum hall one after another. If it was really a mausoleum, this is definitely not the main tomb room. There are only some statues in the square hall. As for the statue, everyone went up to observe it one by one, but they didn't find any clues. In addition to the statue, there are 10 doors scattered around the hall, without obvious signs. It seems that it is for people to choose which door to enter. Look, there are words on this door, a mage suddenly exclaimed. After hearing this, everyone rushed over, only to see that it read, "Old Man Giamoji, come here for a visit." Single quote. I was preempted by someone. Someone has already entered here. Even if it is a tomb, it is probably already empty. After seeing the words on it, everyone's hearts went cold. My door also has writing on it. In front of another door, a certain mage called out. The mages leaned over to take a look again, and there was a string of small characters written on it. Latecomers, if you come to this mausoleum, remember to be careful behind your back. My 5 companions disappeared one by one while I was exploring the tomb. They only let out a scream in time, and I. Frightened. After reading this string of words, all the sorcerers felt their scalps go numb. What about people? What about the person who wrote this important message? Suffering before finishing writing. Almost in unison, they suddenly turned their heads to look behind them, their hearts filled with horror, as if they were afraid that a monster would suddenly appear behind them and drag them away. HMPH, pretending to be a ghost. 7th tier mages don't like this, Li Gui sneered, pushed open a door, and strode in. 10 doors, maybe it means a narrow escape. Yi Kong frowned, at the critical moment of making a decision. But Shui Lianhua and Uncle Yu simply chose another door and walked into it together. The next 3 7th tier mages also chose a door each, deliberately avoiding the other 7th tier mages. With these 7th level mages taking the lead, the rest of the mages followed suit, and began to choose a door in their hearts. Maze. Here is the maze, and there are strong magic fluctuations on the wall. It is unrealistic to break through with brute force. At this time, Su Xin was in a room with 3 doors, one of which was wide open, which was his entrance to the room. The other 2 doors lead to nowhere. Although he came half an hour earlier than others, but because of the maze, he has not gained anything so far. Thinking of this, Su Xin began to make a mark. He wrote a sentence on a door in the room. This door is poisonous, don't touch it. Single quote. Immediately, he chose this door and entered another room. The other room is almost the same structure, still has 3 doors. Vomited. The owner who designed this mausoleum must be a person with a bad taste. Even if he designed some cruel death mechanism, Su Xin could accept it. Making this kind of maze disgusting people made him very angry. So, on the selected door, write, "This door is also poisonous, don't touch it," and then really paint the entire door with poison magic. This emperor who hates people, those who come later, as long as you knock your head 3 times, you can trigger this mechanism, and then this emperor's supreme magic, one thought blossoms, and you rule the world can be imparted to you. Single quote. Looking at the words on the door, Li Gui fell into deep thought. This must be a lie. I have never heard of such a cruel emperor. Many mages on the side looked at each other and resisted the urge to kowtow. You, Kowtow. Li Gui hesitated for a while, then pointed to a third-tier mage and ordered him to kowtow. The face of this unlucky guy who was selected changed, but seeing that the face of the 7th-rank mage Li Gui was getting colder and colder, he didn't dare to hesitate, so he could only kneel on the ground with a plop, and knocked his head 3 times. Everything is normal. It's that kid who messed up. Li Gui frowned, and Su Xin who gave him the middle finger appeared in his mind. He pushed open the door in front of him and entered another room. Some of the mages behind followed him, and some silently chose other doors. And in the new room, among the 3 doors, there was also writing on one of them. This seat hates people. I made a mistake just now. The mechanism is in this room. You need to kowtow 30 times. Only the person who kowtows can trigger the mechanism. See the complete magic formula below. Pay attention. 1 minute after the mechanism is triggered, the magic formula will disappear automatically. Single quote. Below is a bunch of magic formulas. Space magic. Li Gui turned pale with shock. This incomplete magic formula turned out to be space magic, and at first glance it was not fake, it was real. He began to doubt. This is space magic. Boom boom boom. Li Gui is still hesitating. Some mages have already started to kowtow. The 7th Order mage seemed to know that there was a ghost in his heart, but he still didn't want to let go of the space magic formula, so he kowtowed with a dark face. After half a minute, I must kill that kid. In the whole room, Li Gui's almost irrational roar kept echoing. Especially when he chose the door with the text written on it to enter the next room, he almost had a cerebral hemorrhage. Because on a door in that room, it says, kowtow this head too. Single quote. Gaiyu, Kiji, Heju, Tuli, Tuji. Single quote. Shui Lianhua looked at the writing on the door in front of her, thought for a long time, and then said uncertainly, it says, Hu Kylie trash. Who is Kelly Hu? Why do you call him trash? What the hell is this? But one thing that Shui Lianhua can be sure of is that the writing on the door she saw was definitely written by the same person. If nothing else happens, it should be the person who used a special method to enter first. He wrote these words, although the content is a bit unclear, but it should be a mark. In addition, it can also delay other people's time. Shui Lianhua is a smart person, and she guessed Su Xin's intention in no time. There are organs in some rooms of the maze. Shui Lianhua was just unlucky, and accidentally separated from Uncle Yu who accompanied her to go out for training. She is now alone in a room, hesitated again and again, and did not choose the door with the text written on it. Crunch. She pushed open another door, just in time to see Su Xin engraving on a door. It really is you. When Su Xin heard the voice, she turned her head and saw that Shui Lianhua was alone, but her expression didn't change. Instead of wasting time with these little tricks, why not seriously think of a way to break this maze? Seeing Su Xin looking at her, Shui Lianhua said something. Her voice is beautiful, like a pearl falling on a plate, clear and ethereal. Su Xin didn't reply. In fact, more than an hour has passed since he entered, and he has almost figured out the situation in the maze. There should be 3 rooms connected to each other, a total of 30 rooms, one of which should have the correct exit from the maze. There are already 27 rooms with his mark, and the current one is the 28th. Shui Lianhua said that he was playing tricks, but in fact Su Xin used the most clumsy and most effective elimination method to try one by one. Certainly, there is no need to explain more to this woman. Su Xin stopped engraving, then pushed open the door in front of him, and stepped in. Seeing this, Shui Lianhua hesitated for a while, but boldly followed. The moment she entered the door, she saw Su Xin punching straight at her. Shui Lianhua's beautiful eyes shrank suddenly, only to feel a heavy force like a giant mountain rock, accompanied by Su Xin's fist, crushing hard. In a hurry, she immediately took precautions. The light cyan long skirt moved automatically without wind, and layers of translucent ripples quickly stirred up around her body. However, when Su Xin's fist touched her rippling magic shield, Shui Lianhua's face paled instantly, revealing a horrified expression. Before she had time to react again, she felt that the magic power in her body was like a dam washed away by a flood, collapsing in an instant. Boom, boom, the punch exploded, making a deafening bang. Su Xin punched Shui Lianhua in the heart like this. But, with a sound of boo, Su Xin's powerful fist was like hitting cotton, not to mention half of the strength was not used, and it was even bounced back. This made Su Shin show an unprecedented shocked expression. He stared straight at Shui Liang's heart, and it was hard to imagine that the power he was so proud of had failed. Soon, Su Shin frowned, and punched out again. He was already close to the water lotus flower, but under close proximity, the water lotus flower couldn't respond at all, and Su Shin's fist was hit hard on the swollen heart. But it still bounced back. Hiss. Su Shin couldn't help taking a breath. Why is the girl's pectoralis major so exaggerated? Naturally, Su Shin didn't need any reason to suddenly attack Shui Lianghua. If this woman dared to follow, then there was a reason for him to attack. You. Shui Lianghua clenched her teeth in shame. Her pretty face quickly changed into a cold and domineering look under shame and indignation. I saw the water lotus and white lotus-like arm lightly lifted, and the whole body was filled with the magic power of water element. In the blink of an eye, the surging water flowed like a river, and Su Shin was rushed away with a face-to-face. Immediately afterwards, the water in front of him quickly condensed into two transparent giant pythons, which were lifelike, like real monsters. How dare you humiliate me like this? Shui Lianghua's pretty face was full of evil. Obviously Su Shin got a little overwhelmed. The two magic pythons were more than 10 meters long each, swimming in the room, making the sound of rushing water. Boom, boom. But when the two magic pythons were about to attack Su Shin, the latter pumped up his fists and hit the two magic pythons with lightning speed. Pacha. Like bursting water bags, the two magic pythons burst apart in an instant. This scene made Shui Lianghua regain her sobriety from her anger. She is a 6th level water magic. The other party easily blows up with just fists. Just when Shui Lianghua was distracted for a moment, Su Shin's handsome face kept zooming in before his eyes, and he got closer again. This time, Su Shin's fist was still aimed at Shui Lianghua's heart. He didn't deliberately play with the other party, but wanted to find out why the other party was immune to his own power. You do this deliberately, Shui Lian screamed in a radiant voice. The other party obviously could bombard her head, but insisted on hitting her heart. On purpose, he definitely did it on purpose. So what if it was intentional? Can you still resist? After Su Shin finished speaking, he stood up with both fists together, and slammed into the opponent's heart together. It's another aggrieved feeling of hitting the cotton with all your strength. I fight with you. Shui Lianghua no longer has the temperament of a stunning beauty. A young girl in her prime was just driven crazy by Su Shin's few punches. At the same time, not good. Miss is in trouble. In a certain room, Uncle Yu's expression suddenly changed drastically. He didn't have time to deduce the magic formula left on the door, and went directly in the direction of the induction. I saw water vapor like white mist exuding from water lotus flower's body, and the temperature in the whole room was dropping rapidly. Frozen magic. This is water lotus blossom's trump card. Although ice corresponds to the water element, it is a special type of magic, similar in nature to blood magic. Frozen magic absolute zero. Shui Lianghua's apricot eyes glared at Su Shin, and his whole body began to crystallize. At the same time, his body spread the freezing air in all directions like a tide. Su Shin, who was the first to bear the brunt, felt that the blood in his body was coagulating and freezing for an instant. Even if his magic power melted into his body, he could still feel that everything about him was being slowly frozen. It really drove her into a hurry. Su Shin muttered with a strange expression. This is the ultimate move of the 6th Order Ice Mage of the Special Department. If he insists on resisting, he can definitely do it with nearly 50,000 defense power. But the problem is that Shui Lianghua is not the only one in this maze now. Don't run. To perform this move, the water lotus flower itself must be in a state of being frozen. Seeing Su Shin walking slowly towards the side, she felt even more grief and indignation when she was shocked that her unique move had no effect on the other party. This person humiliated her so much, but she had nothing to do with him. Bang! Su Shin opened a door, then slammed it shut. The walls and doors in the maze are not ordinary goods, they are blessed with magic power, and they really have a certain resistance effect on water lotus flower's ultimate move. At the same time, in the main tomb of the mausoleum, a group of people are slowly searching the entire main tomb. On the top of the main tomb, there is a large man-made hole, which leads directly to the outside world, and there is a remnant of magic power on it. Obviously, some special method was used to melt the defense of the entire tomb, which is quite like a tomb robber handwriting. And this group of people, 3 women and 1 man, are all young faces. If Su Xin was here, he would be able to recognize the 2 girls at a glance. Jin Shisen, the golden retriever girl, and PHS senior sister. The other 2. The man was a handsome young man with long hair, and there was a scar on his forehead. He was leaning on the wall of the main tomb at the moment, browsing through a notebook, and said with emotion from time to time, "It is indeed the handwriting left by the 9th level transcendent great mage. Even if it is in a different department, it still gives me a kind of enlightenment." Last person. She is a woman in her 20s, her hair is disheveled, she doesn't pay attention to her appearance at all, her temperament is very similar to a so-called morning girl. She is carving a magic circle on the ground at the moment, and in the center of the magic circle is a deceased white-haired old man corpse. These 2 are also members of the Alchemy Society, and they also master special magic. The long-haired young man named Zhao Yun is good at card magic. And the woman with disheveled hair is called Qi Shi, who is good at necromancy. Necromancy and necromancy are different from each other at first glance, but they are completely different. The former needs a corpse, while the latter is a pure spirit body without substance. Senior sister Qi, are you all right? Don't forget that 12th brother asked us to come to World of Warcraft to find Su Xin. Chen Chengfeng has already arrived. If we delay the timing, it will be too late. Jin Shisen was walking back and forth, her pretty face showed some impatience from time to time. From her words, it was not difficult to guess that Jin Shire had already known about Chen Chengfeng's departure from Tianan province, so he specially asked several brothers and sisters from the Alchemy Club to look for Su Xin and protect him carefully. Except senior sister PHS and Jin Shisen. Zhao Yun and Qi Shi are ranked 4th in the Tianan Academy ranking list, and the other is ranked 2nd. It is not difficult for Zhao Yun to beat ordinary 6th order mages by leapfrogging, but for senior sister Qi, a necromancer. In other words, it is even more commonplace. Junior sister Jin is right, we should put 12's confession first. Zhao Yu took Jin Shisen's words, and he respected Jin Shisen very much. I don't want to. Qi Shi shook her head, her voice was neutral and magnetic. It's that junior who ran out without permission, right? Now that I've finally found such a good, dead spirit, I won't give up. Hear this. The 3 looked at each other, quite helplessly. Qi Shi's personality is recognized as weird, she can be coquettish at times, crazy at times, and gentle at times. Anyway, she is unpredictable and a famous crazy woman. But one thing is well known. That is, Qi Shi loves corpses, whether they are human or monster corpses, she likes them very much. In addition, it was also Qi Shi who discovered the mausoleum and found the location of the main tomb and entered smoothly. This is not the first time she has engaged in this kind of tomb robbery. I really don't know what Brother 12th is thinking, let this crazy senior sister come over. Jin Shisen sighed. When she turned her head, she happened to see Xiao Lingtong blinking at her. Are you worried about Junior Su? Single quote. Xiao Lingtong picked up the mirror in her hand and asked in words. Jin Shisen. Omega *. You, what are you talking about? Jin Shisen was so embarrassing, he quickly turned his head away, he was too ashamed. For Qi Shi, the corpse of a 9th level great mage is the supreme treasure, but in my opinion, the most precious thing in this tomb is this magic crystal. Zhao Yun put away the letter and looked at the crystal coffin in the main tomb. There is a magic crystal the size of a basketball inside. This is not an ordinary magic crystal, but a product materialized by magic power. Such a large magic crystal, the magic power contained in it is unimaginable, and it cannot be estimated with money. However, this kind of magic crystal will not be of much use if it falls in the hands of middle and low-level mages. This is indeed the mausoleum of a strong mage. But it's not a holy mage, but a 9th order transcendent mage. Water Lotus is just a small episode for Su Xin. He continued to search for the exit out of the maze at his own pace. There were only 30 rooms, and Su Xin made so many marks, the locations of the remaining 2 rooms were naturally easy to find. It was a matter of course, Su Xin finally found the exit out of the maze. What Su Xin never expected was that As soon as the exit of the maze was opened, the built-in magic circle in the entire maze stopped functioning immediately, which meant that other people could use brute force to break through the maze. This made Su Xin feel dizzy, thinking that he must speed up the pace. His nonsensical marks can indeed waste a lot of time for others, but they will also arouse hatred from others, which will inevitably make him a target of public criticism, which is not good for himself. After leaving the maze, it is a huge corridor. The entire corridor is extremely spacious, and there is only one road. And in front of the road, there is a huge monster sleeping soundly on its stomach. Behind the monster, there is a door. No one knows where it leads. The 8th Order monster, the Black Demon Tiger. The moment he saw the monster, Su Xin couldn't help thinking for a moment, with a stunned expression on his face. On the wall next to the monster, there are some words engraved. It means that as long as the complete magic formula on the wall can be completely spelled out, the magic circle here can be triggered, thereby opening the door to the main tomb and obtaining the treasure inside. Obviously, the owner of this tomb should have considered that the tomb would be discovered after his death, so he left such a small trick. Su Xin took a deep breath. If you want to forcibly break open the door to the main tomb, you will definitely be attacked by the 8th Order monster Haishahu, so you can only proceed step by step. But Su Xin is a little strange. This 8th level monster who guards the gate seems to be a bit of a nonsense. It stands to reason that the intelligence of an 8th level monster is no less than that of a human being. With the instinct of a monster, how can it not detect that someone is appearing in the passage? Fell asleep, Su Xin said. He cautiously came to the Haisha tiger, and then set his eyes on the magic formula puzzle on the wall. It should be a water magic formula. Su Xin hurriedly took out a water magic book from the white jade pendant, and rummaged through it to see if he could take an open book exam. Otherwise, it will definitely take a lot of time to bite the bullet and deduce the magic formula, whether it will be successful or not. Boom, boom. However, at this moment, suddenly there was a deafening sound at the entrance of the corridor. Su Xin looked at the Haishahu beside him with a face full of horror. Seeing that the latter still showed no signs of waking up, he couldn't help but heaved a sigh of relief. Boy, playing with me like this, today you are beyond salvation. Li Gui, who was furious, was the first to bear the brunt, his eyes fixed on Su Xin in front of him. At the same time, after a passage was forcibly opened in the maze, more and more mages followed, including some 7th level mages and a large number of 6th level mages and below. This large corridor, in the blink of an eye, seemed a bit congested and noisy. Hoo. However, with such a big commotion here, the 8th level monster Haishahu was still sleeping like a cow, without any signs of waking up. Hiss. The 8th Order demonic beast, Haishahu. Quick, don't talk. Most of the mages glared at Su Xin first, and then found that the Haisha tiger beside him was in a bad mood. That is an 8th Order monster. If it becomes crippled after waking up, it must be. Can feed the Haisha tiger to its full. This place is the mausoleum of powerful mages. It's normal to have powerful pets guarding the tomb. You don't need to be confused. The Haisha tiger didn't wake up like the maze passage was broken before. It is estimated that ordinary movements will not be able to disturb him. A 7th rank mage groaned, and calmly analyzed a sentence. Boy, if you come here and give me 300 bangs, I might spare your life. Li Gui was worried about the kowtow, staring at Su Xin with stern eyes, almost gnashing his teeth every word. Everyone including Su Xin doesn't know. They were in a stalemate here, completely unaware that a group of tomb robbers had already arrived in the main tomb room first. Su Xin didn't answer, and calmly thought about the countermeasures. But at this time, however, Li Gui flicked his fingers, and suddenly a huge rock arm on the ground in the corridor grabbed Su Xin. Seeing this scene, everyone couldn't help but raise their hearts in their throats. If this awakens the 8th Order monster. Surprisingly, however, Li Gui's attempt still didn't wake Haishahu up. The only fear left on Li Gui's face completely disappeared at this moment. He can now be sure that the Haisha tiger is probably in a deep sleep, and as long as he is not harmed, he will not be awakened. Warcraft will also be lonely. It will take an unknown number of years to guard this mausoleum, and they will naturally sleep through the long years by themselves. You try to take another step forward. Su Xin dodged to avoid the huge arm of the rock, then stretched out his right hand, grabbed the black tiger's eggs, and gave Li Gui a cold warning. As long as I exert a little force, everyone will be reunited with me in the stomach of the black tiger. Everyone is dumbfounded. This kid actually dared to touch the eggs of an 8th order monster. Still using this to threaten them not to act rashly. Is this an operation that carbon-based organisms can think of? Why do young people do this? I didn't come to this tomb to fight and kill, but to seek opportunities in this tomb. Calm down. Several 7th level mages spoke, and once the deep sleeping Haishahu really woke up, no one would feel well. As for Li Gui's anger, what does it matter to them? Some mages below the 7th level are even more frightened. Don't do stupid things. Please, don't take us with you if you want to die. Crap, do you really want him to understand the situation? Quote. The furious Li Gui also regained his composure. He stepped back slightly and stopped speaking harshly, but the murderous intent in his eyes was already evident. Look at Su Shin again. Seeing that the situation was temporarily stabilized by himself, he held the black tiger's egg in one hand, and began to search for the correct magic formula from the water magic book with the other. For a while, everyone just looked at Su Shin silently, waiting for the opportunity. The scene suddenly froze. Everyone stared at Su Shin intently. This is a development that Su Shin did not expect. Now that he has become the target of public criticism, it may be difficult to fish in troubled waters. If there is only one 7th level mage, that's all. But right now there are 5 7th tier mages. If these 5 people attack Su Shin at the same time with a tacit understanding, Su Shin definitely has no possibility of resisting. As for the magic formula puzzle, Su Shin didn't put much effort into it. However, at this time, the door behind Haishahu suddenly opened slowly, revealing a gap. What happened? There are people in the main tomb. I was caught first. This scene made Li Gui and other mages look anxious. Look at Su Shin again. When he saw the familiar face inside through the gap, he lost his mind for a moment. Kim 13. She. Why is she here? Jin Shisen is more confused than Su Shin. Her beautiful eyes are full of disbelief. The reason why she opened the door was because she heard the movement outside from the main tomb, especially the voice of Su Shin warning everyone just now, which made her a little familiar. This golden-haired girl is also a fledgling master of the city without much scheming. Anyone with a little scheming knows that even if there are people outside, they can't open the door. However, because of this, Su Shin's predicament ushered in the opportunity to break the situation. Su Shin punched the Haisha tiger's balls directly, and immediately rushed into the door with a flash of his body, and slammed the door shut tightly. Roar! The moment the door was closed, the ferocious roar of the 8th order monster sounded outside. Su Shin, you. Why are you here? Jin Shisen looked at Su Shin and couldn't help smiling. This is my line. Who are these 2 people? Su Shin took a deep breath and stared straight at the magic crystal in Zhao Yun's hand. Su Shin couldn't take his eyes off the surging magic power on the magic crystal. This is senior sister Qi Shiqi, and that is senior brother Zhao Yun. The 12th brother received the news that Chen Chengfeng came to the world of Warcraft to look for you, so he asked the 2 senior brothers and sisters to come and protect you. Jin Shisen quickly explained, and then asked, what's the situation outside? As soon as the voice fell, there were violent fighting sounds and screams outside. You are brother Su, right? Qi Shi immersed himself in his necromancy ritual, while Zhao Yun greeted Su Shin with a smile. Seeing Su Shin staring at the magic crystal in his hand, he laughed a little and said, does Junior Su like this? Su Shin nodded. He's already starting to think about snatching. Although he is a senior brother and sister of the alchemy club, Su Shin would not be able to accept such a high risk outside if he had nothing to gain this time. As for the practice handbook left by the 9th level supernatural master, it contains the lifelong practice experience of the supernatural master and the magic formula created by himself, which is also very precious, but Su Shin doesn't like it. The reason for the hesitation is that Su Shin is not a heartless person. They came all the way to the world of Warcraft to shelter themselves. After all, they are considered human beings. Then leave it to Shui Su for safekeeping. Zhao Yun smiled heartily, and unexpectedly threw the magic crystal to Su Shin. Su Shin took over, and looked at Jin Shisen and PHS senior sister suspiciously. Humph. Jin Shisen snorted softly, The alchemy club was united. You think everyone is a money fan like you, she didn't say that. Hey Wool, hurry up and go. Su Shin scolded angrily. At this time he was not in the mood to admire Jin Shisen's arrogance. The magic crystal left by the great mage detached is extremely precious, but it is blocked by a specific magic formula, and ordinary people have no luck at all to enjoy it. Zhao Yu has a high emotional intelligence, and he saw Su Shin's emotional fluctuations, so he gave Su Shin the magic crystal, and at the same time, he also had the idea of testing Su Shin's character. If Su Shin wants to monopolize the magic crystal in the future, then such a selfish character is naturally not worthy of joining the alchemy club, and then the magic crystal will be found again. Now there are 5 7th level mages outside, and the number of 6th level mages and below adds up to hundreds. Su hadn't finished his words when he saw Zhao Yu's complexion suddenly changed. Qi Shi, I'm leaving. He hurriedly urged Qi Shi, who was on the side to concentrate. Go back and get the corpse, let's go. Seeing Qi Shi immersed in his own world, Zhao Yu's tone couldn't help but aggravate a few points. Only then did Qi Shi raise her head, showing a hint of displeasure. Under Zhao Yun's gesture, Su Shin, Jin Shisen and PHS senior sisters left the grave robbery cave first. A minute later, Zhao Yun and Qi Shi followed up. Su Shin thought that such an escape was timely enough, but he completely overestimated the 8th level monster Haishahu. The entire mausoleum suddenly collapsed. 3 figures flew out of it like flashing and moving. Kid, Li Gui had a ferocious face, staring at Su Shin like a ghost. And on the 2 sides of him, there are 2 7th level mages with gloomy expressions. Hand over what you got from the tomb, and this matter will be exposed. Tang Han, the second 7th rank mage, looked at Su Shin and his party with an extremely cold tone. Fang Kaicheng, the last 7th order mage, remained silent. The 3 7th tier mages have already surrounded Su Shin and his party in a tacit understanding. The 8th level magical beast Haishahu is very powerful, and instantly killed 2 7th level mages in one encounter, but it was really hungry in the tomb, so it didn't continue to attack Li Gui and the other 3. It's time to feast on a group of mages crowded in the tomb. 3 7th order mages. This is completely beyond the range of Su Shin's response. If there is only one person, he will definitely try to fight back. But now there are 3. And seeing that Su Shin met Jin Shisen and others in the main tomb room, he definitely thought that he was being tricked, and under the common anger, he definitely stood on the same line. How to break. This is a dead end for the 3 7th order mages. Suddenly, Su Shin suddenly trembled slightly all over. He only felt that the blood in his whole body was boiling, and the excitement of a mouse licking a pussy filled his whole body. This surprised Su Shin, because what he wanted at this moment was not to escape, but to do it hard. Labor and capital. Su Shin is on fire. The golden-haired girl looked at Li Gui and the 3 of them. Given her family background, she naturally looked down on 7th tier mages. At that moment, she put on a pretty face and took a step forward. Seeing her appearance, Su Shin didn't know that this silly girl wanted to use her father's identity as a 9th level transcendent master to make the other party retreat. Good idea, but in the wrong place. This is not the Kyushu Empire. Saying that his father is a 9th level transcendent master will only make the other party more determined to kill in silence. Shut up and stand behind me. Su Shin put one hand on Jin Shisen's shoulder, and pulled him back a bit, so as not to make a fool of himself. Jin Shisen couldn't help being stunned. Recalling Su Shin's words, he felt an inexplicable sense of security. Immediately afterwards, he spoke to the other 3 through magic voice transmission. Senior sister PHS, if you know the auxiliary magic, you can cast it on me now. Senior sister Qi, senior brother Zhao, I will try my best to make a way out of these 3 7th level mages later, so you all look for opportunities to escape quickly. Zhao Yu's eyes showed doubts. Should he say that junior brother Su is arrogant, or is he blind to the situation? You are just a freshman who has just entered university. Where does he have the confidence to survive the siege of 3 7th order mages? Qi Shi looked at Su Shin with a strange expression on her face. In fact, since she left the tomb, her eyes never left Su Shin. This person has been dealing with corpses all the time, and she has a deep understanding of the human body. Although she didn't have close contact, Su Shin's body gave her an unprecedented sense. It is good. Xiao Lingtong suddenly spoke. Su Shin's magic power is doubled at this moment. Immediately, her eyes were ethereal, and she said something loudly. Speech magic. This special magic has been cultivated to an extremely high level, and it is no exaggeration to say that it can follow the law and distort reality. However, as soon as the senior sister finished speaking, she rolled her eyes and passed out with a pale complexion. Senior sister Xiao. Jin Shisen was so frightened that her face turned pale, and she couldn't help but exclaimed. Su Shin's expression turned complicated. In his subconscious cognition. Generally, a distinctive character like Xiao Lingtong should be hiding his secrets, that's why he has expectations. But looking at it now, it's just a widow messing around at night, it's useless. Do something useful, PHS. It is obvious that Xiao Lingtong's magic power backfired too much. How did she know that Su Shin's magic power was actually worth 100,000, so if he doubled it, he would double it? How could she withstand such backlash? Zhao Yun and I can hold one for you. At this time, Qi Shi suddenly spoke. Enough. Su Shin's expression was shocked. As long as he can kill a 7th level mage in a short time, the deadlock will be broken. The reason why Li Gui held down his anger and didn't make a move immediately was because he was also peeking at the treasures in the tomb, and he didn't want to push the opponent too hard. But after a while, the other party didn't mean to compromise at all, but he was still ready to resist. He flew into a rage. I couldn't bear it any longer, and my right hand was empty. The ground suddenly roared, the ground cracked open, countless gravel floated into the sky, and immediately condensed a rock giant with a size of 100 meters. This is high-level magic. As soon as the rock giant appeared, Su Shin and the others felt suffocated instantly by the overwhelming pressure. Boom. When the rock giant takes a step, the earth shakes. Full open. Su Shin's eyes were fixed, his whole body was like a Saiyan bursting with anger, and a terrifying aura surged. His body surface turned into steel skin in an instant, one side of his body was filled with thunder, the other half of his body was poured with flames, his limbs instantly turned into dragons, and a ferocious dragon tail protruded from Su Shin's tailbone. Facing the 7th Order Mage, how dare Su Shin hold back? It's impossible for him to be a Tier 3 mage. Zhao Yu lost his mind for an instant, his face full of disbelief. Those 3 7th rank mages didn't know about Su Shin's details, how could he not know? This boy is only 18 years old this year. Boom. I saw Su Shin's feet suddenly exerted force, and the whole person rushed towards the rock giant head on like an armored chariot. This scene was simply too shocking. Su Shin's overall size is not as big as a finger of a rock giant. Court death. Li Gui was a little stunned when Su Shin broke out, but he quickly realized that he controlled the rock giant to punch Su Shin with a huge arm. Rumble. Before the giant rock fist arrived, the entire atmosphere began to linger, and boundless air waves rolled and swayed around the giant fist, and the momentum was extremely terrifying. Give labor and capital a break. Su Shin let out a roar, and then clashed with the rock giant's right fist. In an instant, just like a volcanic eruption, the earth shook, and countless thunder and flames exploded. Caw caw caw. A crisp sound suddenly sounded. A crack appeared in the rock giant's right arm, which intensified immediately until the entire arm exploded into rubble. Quote exclamation mark quote. How did he do that? There is something wrong with this kid. Although he is not a high-level mage, he is obviously a threat to the high-level mage. With such destructive power, you must not be approached by him. The hearts of the other 2 7th Order mages Tang Han and Fang Kaicheng who hadn't made a move suddenly jumped. Earth Element 7th rank magic, the heavenly tribulation. However, Li Gui had a cold expression on his face. Su Shin's performance was indeed far beyond his expectations, but not enough. The natural barrier between middle-level mages and 7th-level mages cannot be crossed by just relying on the word, genius. Li Gui let out a low cry, and the magic power of the earth element between the heaven and the earth was mobilized rapidly, and the earth began to twist and twist as if it had come alive, and countless giant rock arms stretched out from the ground. Su Shin felt unprecedented pressure instantly. His dragon-shaped limbs moved together, his figure was as fast as lightning, and every punch was accompanied by an explosion of thunder and flames, but even so, he still couldn't destroy all the giant rock arms gushing out of the ground. And at this moment, the shattered right arm of the rock giant condensed out again. This son is so young, he must have a strong background, let's solve it quickly. Tang Han groaned, and said. Fang Kaicheng nodded, since he has already gotten into trouble, he must do a clean job, otherwise there will be endless troubles. See this scene. Qi Shi and Zhao Yun didn't hesitate any longer. I saw Qi Shi chanting in a low voice, and a summoning magic circle appeared in front of my eyes, and within a short while, 5 6th level necromantic wolves were summoned. And Zhao Yu didn't know when a bunch of magic cards appeared in his hand, and he also shot. 3 middle-level mages confronted 3 high-level mages. The winner will be decided within 10 seconds. Fire Element 7th rank magic burst flame dance. Tang Han, a 7th tier fire mage, held a staff and pointed at Su Shin in front of him. Base. The front part of the staff was like a storm, and the flames all over the sky collapsed out. In an instant, the entire sky was covered with flames, and the flames burned the sky. Boom. A huge torch of flames fell from the sky and hit Su Shin directly. Boom. The earth-shattering explosion sound resounded in all directions, and the flames burst into the sky, like a doomsday fire. Well, Su Shin let out a muffled snort, his expression grim and distorted due to the pain. The clothes all over his body turned into fly ash in an instant, and the steel skin on the surface of his body showed a crimson color like lava. Su Shin's steel skin almost was melted. The advanced magic of a 7th level fire mage. If Su Shin hadn't mastered the Fire Dragon Slayer and the Fire Resistance Max, then this aggressive, burst flame dance, alone would be enough to melt Su Shin's defense away. The defense Su Shin was so proud of was so precarious in front of a high-ranking mage, which shows the huge gap between a 7th rank mage and a 6th rank mage. Tang Han failed to succeed with one move, and his brows could not help but frown. The performance of this kid in front of him was too monstrous. He received his 7th level magic with his body alone without holding up any magic shield at all, which was simply unheard of. While Su Shin was being attacked by Tang Han, the gap in defense from Li Gui was completely opened, and 2 giant rock arms emerged from the scorching hot ground, grabbing Su Shin's feet tightly. Immediately afterwards, the rock giant raised his arms to the sky, clasped his hands and roared, and smashed hard at the top of Su Shin's head. Don't want. Jin Shisen was so frightened that Warong turned pale, but with her strength, getting involved in this kind of battle would end in an instant. The other side, the last 7th level mage, Fang Kaicheng, is also the most numerous elemental mage, a 7th level mage of the water system. He wanted to kill Su Shin at the same time as Tang Han. But Qi Shi's necromancer wolf and Zhao Yun's card magic aimed at him immediately, which also forced Fang Kaicheng to be distracted from dealing with Qi Shi and the two. With a bang, the terrifying arms of the rock giant smashed towards Su Shin. Su Shin didn't have time to dodge, so he had no choice but to fight hard with both arms. This resistance, it directly let his feet sink into the ground, and the surrounding ground was bombarded like a cannonball baptism, devastated, and the terrifying shock force made Su Shin's arms creak, and his hard bones were about to shatter. Suck. At this time, Su Shin opened his mouth and sucked in a sharp breath, sucking all the scorching flames that pervaded his body into his abdomen. What is he doing? Suicide? No. Where? Something is wrong. Li Gui and Tang Han were shocked, devouring magic. This simply overturned their decades-old view of the magical world. When you are full, you will have strength. Devouring the fire magic power, Su Shin's whole body's aura suddenly climbed to the top. The hot hell of the purgatory dragon. He roared. Inexhaustible flames within the body. The flames are like rivers and rivers, eroding the entire ground in an instant. Li Gui's 7th order earth magic, sink into heaven, was suppressed by this move in the blink of an eye up. Red Lotus burst flame dragon. The mystery of dragon slaying is not limited to moves, unreservedly exerting a full blow is the mystery of dragon slaying magic. Su Shin's arms were full of flames, and boundless flames wrapped around them, and then turned into a huge flame dragon with a body length of tens of meters and a whole body made of flames. A formation of flames. Tang Han was quite frightened, but his reaction was quick enough, and he swiped his staff again. 4 walls of fire emerged in response to the situation, trapping Su Shin's Red Lotus explosive flame dragon inside. Seeing this scene, Su Shin couldn't help shrinking his eyes suddenly, and regained a trace of calm amidst the scorching fighting spirit. His current limit explosion can barely reach the level of a 7th order mage. The gap between the 5th and 7th steps is too great. Die. Li Gui no longer has the chance to win, he just wants to kill this monster boy quickly. He is a 7th order mage. And even with another 7th level mage, Su Xin still couldn't be killed in an instant, which is beyond the bounds of the world. 7th tier earth element magic pillar of the falling sky. Buzz buzz. The ground shook violently again, and a huge stone pillar with a height of 50 meters emerged from it. The stone pillar was grabbed by the rock giant, and smashed against Su Xin's position. It turned out to be a combination skill of high-level magic. Su Xin, we can't hold it anymore. At this moment, only 3 seconds have passed, and Qi Shi and Zhao Yun's side has already shown signs of decline. Zhao Yun took the time to look at Su Xin, and saw the scene of the rock giant hitting him. His heart felt as if he had been hit hard, and all thoughts were lost. Su Xin had no fear. He reached out with his right hand, took out the magic crystal that Zhao Yu had temporarily entrusted to him for safekeeping, and immediately bit down. This was the last whole card that Su Xin thought of. Biting off a piece of magic crystal, Su Xin roared loudly. The pain that was about to explode kept coming, and cracks appeared on his body surface like weathered stones. The surging magic power could not be completely absorbed by the current body, and gathered in the abdomen, making Su Xin's abdomen bulge high, as if it might explode at any time. The power of Dragon Slayer magic lies not only in melee combat. It's just Su Xin's personal preference to bully and bombard opponents with his fists. Facing the 7th level mage now, it is naturally impossible to get close so easily, but this does not mean that Su Xin is at his wit's end and has no way to do it. Lightning gun. Thunderbolt. I saw Su Xin holding both hands in the air, holding a lightning spear in each hand, and was immediately thrown towards the rock giant in front of him. Whoosh! In an instant, Su Xin's arms were like phantoms, and he turned into a human-shaped self-propelled magic cannon, and countless lightning guns were thrown out by him like a rainstorm. In the blink of an eye, nearly 1,000 lightning guns appeared in front of the rock giant, densely packed, covering the sky and the sun, and the lightning flashed. Boom! Bang bang bang! Nearly 1,000 lightning guns exploded all at once, and the terrifying force of the explosion seemed to explode the whole world. Be it the rock giant or the Optimus pillar in its hands, it was instantly blown up and turned into rubble. Li Gui's eyes widened, he opened his mouth, and found that he didn't know what to say at this moment. Look at Su Xin again. He stretched out Li Gui's right arm suddenly, and a steel chain manifested by magic power flew to Li Gui's body with lightning speed, bound the opponent's body, and then pulled it away. Not good. Li Gui yelled in his heart, and quickly cast defensive magic. His body surface was shrouded in an earthy yellow halo, as if wearing a layer of rock armor. Su Xin grasped with his right hand, grabbed Li Gui's head with a frightened face, and brought him up to him. Don't underestimate me, uncle. Lei Yanlong's roar. Su Xin's cheeks puffed up, and he sprayed cannons at Li Gui almost 0 distance away. Boom! Fry! A cluster of beams of thunder flames more than 10 meters wide sprayed out from Su Xin's mouth, instantly crushing Li Gui's defense, and evaporated the body below his head in a second, leaving only a head with wide eyes and death. Gulu gulu. Su Xin threw Li Gui's head away, and immediately looked at Tang Han, who looked like he had seen a ghost. Relying on the surging magic power of the magic crystal, Su Xin's strength has increased unimaginably in a short period of time. But this is too much of a burden for his current body, and coupled with the high-load dragon transformation state, this state of combat power far exceeding his own limit will not last long at all. The roar of the Dragon Slayer. Su Xin was well aware of her own condition, so why would there be a pause? She took another deep breath, her cheeks puffed up. This time, the roar of the Iron Dragon, the roar of the Fire Dragon, the roar of the Thunder Dragon and the roar of the Poisonous Dragon are all combined into the roar of the Dragon Slayer. Escape. At this moment, Tang Han only had this thought in his mind. But he was locked by Su Xin, unless he had space teleportation magic. As long as he didn't disappear from Su Xin's sight, he would be hit. Boom! Combining the super big move of 4 kinds of dragon slaying magic, the roar of dragon slaying, just blast away. In an instant, 4 color beams of light dazzled above the sky, and the entire world seemed to be overshadowed at this moment. In the eyes of everyone, there is only the 4 color beam of light that is stirring with boundless magic power. The Wall of Forbidden Flame. Firewall. Big Flame Shield. Tang Han's face was horrified, despair and helplessness welled up in his heart, and he cast several powerful fire-type defensive magics one after another in one breath. But, do not. Before Milong's roar, his defensive magic collapsed like a chicken and a dog in an instant, and he couldn't delay it for even half a second. Amidst the unwilling roar, Tang Han's body melted into dross in the four-color beam of light. The second 7th Order Mage, die. Su Shin at this time, his temporarily soaring real combat power is enough for him to be a 7th level mage in an instant. However, just when Su Shin was about to attack Fang Kaichang, the last 7th Order Mage. I just feel that my body is extremely stiff, and my mental power is almost exhausted. His aura is still terrifying, but he can no longer support any moves. What kind of monster is this? But Fang Kaichang, the 7th rank mage, was frightened out of his wits. The two 7th rank mages died instantly, so how could he have the guts to stay here? Without saying a word, the 7th rank mage turned around and ran away as if fleeing from famine, and disappeared in an instant. He really leapfrogged and killed a 7th Order Mage. Qi Shi and Zhao Yun were naturally powerless to pursue Fang Kaichang. The former looked at Su Shin's standing figure, his white face was full of astonishment. Dealing with corpses all the year round, this eccentric woman has long been immune to death, so she doesn't see much mood swings in a situation where she knows she will die. But Zhao Yun is different. He stared blankly at Su Shin, opening and closing his mouth, wanting to say something, but found that he didn't know what to say. His mind went blank. Actually one. Those are two 7th level mages, and they haven't just been promoted. They have been in the world of Warcraft and have rich combat experience. As for Su Shin, an 18-year-old freshman at the Master's University, who has only been enrolled for 1 month. Genius. Can genius be used to describe him? Zhao Yun murmured, with a magical feeling of changing times. He suddenly felt a little envious of Xiao Lingtong, who had passed out. At least she doesn't have to bear the blow of such an exaggerated fact. He's dying, Qi Shi suddenly exclaimed, and ran towards Su Shin. I saw Su Shin standing where he was, his aura extremely sluggish, no blood flowed out from his cracked skin, he looked like he was about to dying. The price required for that kind of exaggerated strength improvement is your life. Qi Shi's expression was solemn, with a complex look on his face. Su Shin, are you okay? Jin Shisen anxiously appeared next to Su Shin, his face was full of sadness. In fact, although the battle with the 7th Order Mage was tragic, the time was only a few seconds. But for Jin Shisen, these few seconds seemed like years. Although the golden-haired girl has a strong father, she has never experienced life and death situations at all. She was frightened and stupefied. At this moment, when I came back to my senses, seeing Su Shin looking like he was about to die, I couldn't help feeling sad, and big tears fell down. Medicine. What about him? Su Shin didn't care about this girl's mental state. He spoke with difficulty, but he couldn't speak clearly and couldn't complete the sentence. Yeah, I'm listening. What do you want? Tell me, and I will help you. Jin Shisen was about to cry, thinking that Su Shin was confessing his last words. She only had a few brief contacts with Su Shin. The previous 2 times were nothing more than normal contacts. But this time it was completely different. In the hearts of the girls, Su Shin fell into the current situation to protect them. Su Shin's unshakable figure after the war is not only on the ground, but also in her heart. But what Su Shin wanted was the magic potion. Su Shin fell into Jin Shisen's arms weakly, and hit her heart weakly, trying to make her understand what he meant. After a while, Su Shin breathed a sigh of relief, his eyes gradually became a little loose. Numb. The body is already numb. His mental power was also close to exhaustion, and his consciousness was as heavy as lead. But even so, Su Shin still knew that he couldn't die. His strong physique is there, but his body is seriously overdrawn, so he won't die. Seeing that Su Shin opened his mouth, Jin Shisen quickly moved his ear to listen to him. Me. Su Shin spoke intermittently. Don't worry, speak slowly. The weeping tone in Jin Shisen's voice was already very obvious. Su Shin finally finished speaking, laughed out loud, tilted his head, and simply passed out. Yes, cool. This kind of battle beyond the limit brought Su Shin a new experience that he had never had before. The thrill of overdrawing himself and jumping repeatedly on the death line made Su Shin feel unprecedentedly sublimated. It also gave Su Shin a new understanding of dragon-slaying magic. Jin Shisen. She felt as if she was blocked by something, and she was forced to stay where she was, with her long blonde hair also looking a little messy. What did he say? Qi Shi asked curiously. He said he was so cool. Jin Shisen replied in a low voice with complicated complexion. Qi Shi, Zhao Yun. Is this human? Can he be cool too? Let's get out of here quickly. Card magic. Clothes of feather. Zhao Yu took a deep breath, calmed down, took out a card and immediately cast magic. All of a sudden, it was seen that each of the 5 people was covered with a layer of magic code, which can achieve the effect of invisibility. Zhao Yun carried Su Shin on his back, while Qi Shi picked up Xiao Lingtong and quickly disappeared in this direction. Half a day later, in a quiet small valley, several people temporarily settled down. I have prepared early warning measures nearby, so as long as a mage appears, I will be able to detect it as soon as possible. When Zhao Yun returned to the cave in the valley, he said. Then he looked at Su Shin who was unconscious, and asked softly with a complicated expression, Su Shuidi, can you be rescued? Xiao Lingtong was just backlashed by his own magic, and his life was not in danger. It would be a matter of time before he regained consciousness. But Su Shin is different. It must be unimaginable to pay such a terrifying temporary combat power. Jin Shisen sat next to Su Shin depressed, without saying a word. On the other hand, Qi Shi stared at Su Shin with bright eyes, burning like fire. Seeing her like this, where Zhao Yun couldn't think of anything, he immediately emphasized seriously, Qi Shi. Su Shin is a member of the Alchemy Society, so don't make any plans about his body. Unexpectedly, Qi Shi didn't react at all, and replied, what are you talking about? It is true that half of Shuidi Su has already stepped into the threshold of death, but his vitality is too strong, and he was forced to pull him out of the gate of hell. Come back. Senior Sister Qi, do you mean that Su Shin will not die? When Jin Shisen heard this, he reacted violently like a kitten with fried fur. Qi Shi nodded. Then, Qi Shi asked Jin Shisen to take out some recovery magic potions. Jin Shisen is rich and powerful, so he naturally has no shortage of such magic potions. I'll go out and watch the wind first. Zhao Yun's complexion changed, and he walked out of the cave. He really respects Su Shin, but if he wants to feed Su Shin with his mouth next, he feels that he still can't accept it. It is better to leave this kind of matter to Jin Shisen, who is the same age as Su Shuidi. Really? Jin Shisen held the magic potion and looked at the unconscious Su Shin, his face flushed. But Qi Shi took the magic potion in her hand, drank it, and then directly fed it to Su Shin with her mouth, all in one go. Jin Shisen opened his mouth, but couldn't say anything. It's amazing. It's impossible for the effect of the magic potion to be so obvious, but after Su Shuidi took it, his body temperature recovered a little bit. Su Shuidi's body is simply amazing. It's amazing. Qi Shi danced all of a sudden, her fair face was extraordinarily rosy because of excitement. Senior Sister Qi, what are you doing? When Jin Shisen took a look, he found that Senior Sister Qi was rubbing her hands on Su Shin's chest, loving her like a treasure. She was shocked. Although Senior Sister Qi is good-looking, but because of her eccentric personality and dislike of dressing up, there are no boys in Tianan Academy who want to pursue her. But she never expected that Senior Sister Qi would act like a pervert now. Seeing Jin Shisen staring at her dissatisfiedly, Qi Shi restrained her exaggerated movements. After a while, she started to check on Xiao Lingtong's condition, and she put it aside temporarily when she saw that everything was fine. In the following period of time, Qi Shi naturally kept feeding Su Shin with magical potions. Late at night, Su Shin had a dream. In the dream, he turned into a dragon soaring for 9 days, so powerful. But suddenly the dream changed, and suddenly visited a massage parlor, and was enjoying a full-body massage by technician No. 18. Gradually, Su Shin's consciousness began to recover, and his eyes slowly opened. When opened, just then, he found a fair-skinned woman's face close to his own with almost zero distance. His eyes widened sharply, full of horror. Senior Sister Qi, you. Su Shin was shocked. There's something wrong with Qi Shi. Her eyes are very fanatical, as if looking at a work of art. And she seemed to want to stick out her tongue just now. No, not thinking. It really stretched out its tongue, adding the dragon scale texture under the corners of Tian Su Shin's eyes that hadn't disappeared yet. Strange, Su Shuidi is probably not a beast soul mage, but he can transform into a beast. Could it be that Su Shuidi has the blood of a monster in his body? They are as powerful as holy monsters. They can transform into human forms, but they are not reproductively isolated from humans. Therefore, there will be some special mages who have the blood of monsters in their bodies. Often these mages are very powerful in the same level, but few have stepped into the body. The 9th level of transcendence. Qi Shi asked softly, Brother Su, is your father a monster? No. Although Su Shin regained consciousness, his body was just out of danger, and he couldn't move freely immediately, and it was even more difficult to speak at the moment. That's even more strange. It is logically impossible for humans to have such a perfect body. After Qi Shi said, a pair of palms began to grope every inch of Su Shin's body. Su Shin was shocked. Is he a female pervert? This woman doesn't have any sense of shame, does she touch everywhere? Hold, stop. Su Shin's expression turned cold, and he scolded. I do not. Qi Shi shook her head resolutely and continued her research. This is a necromancer, and his research plan in the Alchemy Society is about the body. During the day, with Jin Shisen watching from the side, it was hard for her to let go. It's night now, Jin Shisen has already fallen asleep soundly, Zhao Yun is letting the wind outside, and Xiao Lingtong is still in a coma. With such a good opportunity in front of him, how could Qi Shi give up? Furthermore, once Su Shin fully recovers, and he can't beat Su Shin, it is naturally impossible to have the opportunity to touch his body again. Su Shin was furious. He looked at Jin Shisen, who was sleeping soundly beside him, and was even more annoyed. Is this how this girl takes care of the wounded? This kind of humiliation of being unable to move and being inspected wantonly. Even more hateful. Why is this feeling of humiliation suddenly a bit less repulsive? Qi Shi, right, necromancer, walk slowly. I remember you. Su Shin was completely numb by Qi Shi's touch. His rejection from the beginning has gradually become indifferent. As for Qi Shi, she is completely immersed in her own world, she doesn't care about Su Shin's feelings at all, and she will show a slutty smile from time to time. However, there were some things she didn't go out of line with, she was simply curious about Su Shin's body. Su Shin doesn't pay attention to her anymore, she can touch as much as she wants. Calm down a little bit. Su Shin began to check his condition. Although the battle with the 7th Order Mage ended in a tragic victory, it was also a lot of money for Su Shin's income. The first is the defense value. Under the effect of talent, hardened, he was attacked by a 7th level mage, which increased his defense value by more than 20,000 at one time, raising his defense value to 70,000 at one time. However, the strength, mana value, and mental power value have not improved much. A bit wasteful. It was too late to absorb the souls of the 2 7th Order mages. Talent. Soul drain. It is an active skill, which is really inconvenient at times. Secondly, it's about the adaptive force. Its previous level was LV3, but Su Shin never expected that the adaptive force with nearly 30,000 experience points has been upgraded. That is to say, when Su Shin fights beyond the limits, he can gain a large amount of Dragon Slayer Master's self-adaptation experience points. Dragon Slayer Mage Adaptive Strength LV4, 1,500 thousandths. By the way, talent. Su Shin quickly thought of something. Sure enough, there was a brand new talent in the talent column on his personal panel, Elementalization. Talent. Elementalization. It can transform one's body into an elemental state, including some special states, such as poisonous gas state, but excluding time and space elements. In addition, casting talent. Elementalization requires extremely high spiritual power. The system reminds, with Su Shin's current mental strength of 5,000, at most he can only partially elementalize. If he wants to elementize his whole body, he needs a minimum of 10,000 mental strength. So it seems that, in some respects, the most difficult value of mental power is even more important. It is worth mentioning that, although the performance of elementalization is similar to the natural devil fruit in the world of One Piece, it is indeed immune to physical damage but not immune to magic damage. But the point is, this is an era where mages are rampant. Except for a very small number of special mages, which mage is good at physical damage. So this point of being immune to physical attacks seems a bit tasteless compared to the current worldview. Basically, that's all for some improvements after the war. For a while, Su Xin fell into deep thought. Elemental, he thought. Suddenly, Su Xin glanced at Qi Shi, who was still tirelessly playing the role of a nurse to check her body, and suddenly became ill. There was a bang. The second brother directly changed from the state of flesh and blood to the state of flames. Qi Shi, scared, but what made Su Xin speechless was that the woman was not frightened at all, but full of curiosity. After all, Qi Shi is a genius and is keen on research. Naturally, he can tell at a glance that Su Xin has changed from the state of flesh and blood to the state of elemental flames. She thought about it carefully. There are some special magics that can do this, but what Shuidi Su used seems to be a little different. Qi Shi is more concerned about Su Xin's mystery. Brother Su, what is this? Qi Shi raised her head and looked at Su Xin, who was on the contrary, who looked confused, with a look of eagerness for knowledge. Su Xin replied blankly, fire stick. Qi Shi tilted her head, not knowing why. Su Xin took a deep breath, her lower body returned to normal, she closed her eyes and stopped talking. He lost. This senior sister Qi is invincible. For the next few days, whenever late at night, senior sister Qi would reveal her true face in front of Su Xin, exploring the mysteries of his body. Su felt miserable, but was ashamed to tell others, so he could only suffer in silence. Another point is, Su Xin is a little blindly confident about his recovery speed. The injury this time is indeed too serious, and he still can't recover to the level of free activities in a few days. It is estimated that it will take 2 to 3 weeks to fully recover. During this time, Su Xin couldn't just lie flat and do nothing. Then he took out the magic book in the white jade pendant and began to learn magic. After all, there are too many skills to overwhelm him, and Su Xin is not only good at dragon-slaying magic. The more magic he masters, it will be of great benefit to Su Xin himself, it will make his understanding of magic more profound, and at the same time he can draw inferences about other cases from one instance. Create a new move based on the known moves of Dragon Slayer magic. The 5th day, a group of people came to the number 40 port base. The port base is surrounded by high walls on all sides, and on top of the high walls is a product of the combination of magic and technology magic cannon. There are 500 port base cities in the entire Warcraft continent. Every base city is a gold-making cave, and the huge benefits generated every day travel to countries all over the world. It is precisely because it involves the interests of all countries in the world. Therefore, the city of the port base does not allow battles between mages. Once it is violated, no matter what identity you are, you will die. Zhao Yun temporarily found a mage hotel in the port base and stayed in it temporarily. You can go to the Kyushu Empire tomorrow. But Su Xin refused. The port base city is absolutely safe, but once you set foot on the cargo ship back to the Kyushu Empire, it may not be so. Of course, Su Xin must be careful, he will not leave the port base city until his condition is restored. Night. Jin Shisen peeled a magic apple for Su Xin, and said, take a good rest tonight. I lived in a cave before, so it must be very uncomfortable. After all, so she wanted to leave and let Su Xin rest alone. Su Xin hesitated for a moment, then said in a deep voice, don't go. Jin Shisen was taken aback. In her mind, she suddenly became someone Su Xin relied on, and her desire to protect suddenly became strong. Okay, I won't go. She nodded heavily, feeling a little secretly happy in her heart. Late night hours. The door was pushed open quietly. Su Xin hurriedly woke up Jin Shisen lying on the bedside. Jin Shisen looked at the figure at the door, and asked sleepily, Senior Sister Qi. What's the matter? Tisk. Qi Shi smacked her mouth, closed the door and left with a displeased face. Su Xin is overjoyed, finally able to rest for the night. Chapter 51. In the next few days, Su Xin insisted that Jin Shisen stay with her every night. This once made Zhao Yun wonder if the two of them had gotten better through adversity. This day, Su Xin was finally able to move freely again. Although he was still in a weak state, Su Xin's weak state was much stronger than ordinary mages. In the hotel room, Senior sister PHS has also come to life, sitting on the sofa in the lobby of the room at the moment, feeling a little lost. Especially when Su Xin came out from the inner room, her head lowered even deeper. She wasn't blaming herself, she just felt a little ashamed. Xiao Lingtong felt embarrassed and flustered when he thought of how he shouted, "Yes," that day, then cast the magic of words, and then fell into a coma in one go. As for Qi Shi, seeing that Su Xin had regained her independence, she had an undisguised expression of pity on her face. This means that her good days of studying Su Xin's body are over. It has been found out that the 7th rank mage who escaped before is named Fang Kaichang, and he is the vice president of the Magic Guild, Gale Guild. The guild is resident in the port-based city of No. 36. Seeing Su Xin and Jin Shisen coming out, Zhao Yun opened his mouth. "Just find someone. When you get back, tell your father about it. Gale Wind Guild must look good." Jin Shisen snorted coldly, her pretty face was full of evil. This was a life and death enmity. If Su Xin hadn't burst out before the battle, the group of them would have died long ago. "Junior sister Jin, I think it's better not to tell senior Jin about this." Zhao Yun hesitated for a while, and looked at Jin Shisen meaningfully. The implication is to keep Su Xin secret. After all, Su Xin's record is too appalling. A freshman who has just entered university can leapfrog and kill 7th order mages, or 2. The so-called Musho will be destroyed by Lin Feng. As long as the internal members of the Alchemy Club know about this matter, there is no need to publicize it. Su Xin didn't care much. However, Zhao Yu said that Jin Shisen should not tell Jin Zhano, which made him think deeply. Does it mean that Jin Zhano is an untrustworthy elder? Although the Tsunere Golden Retriever is a bit coquettish, but not stupid, he couldn't react after listening to Zhao Yun's words. "Then let's not talk about it," she replied, taking advantage of the opportunity to take a peek at the normal-looking Su Xin. "Let's put aside the matter of revenge for the time being. The 7th rank mage named Fang Kaichang may have been hidden for a long time. There is no need to waste more time on this aspect. I will go to the Gale Guild in person when I have time in the future." Su Xin shrugged. His performance that day was so against the sky. As long as Fang Kaichang is not stupid, it is impossible for Fang Kaichang to return to Gale Wind Guild. One more thing, that is, the Emperor of our Kyushu Empire, Emperor Qianyuan, announced a few days ago that he will hold the world's first elite mage competition. The requirement for the participants is to be under the age of 25. Zhao Yu changed the subject, and when he said this, there was some shock on his face. "Mage contest. Is there any special meaning?" Qi Shi turned her eyes away from Su Xin, obviously a little interested. In fact, the 4 great empires are more advocating the mage competition, but usually it is only a city competition or a college league, and the scale and rewards are not large. But this time is different. This year is the 1500th year since the founding of the Kyushu Empire. And His Majesty Emperor Qianyuan seems to be dying soon. As for the special meaning, I really don't know. Maybe 12 can guess some. After Zhao Yu finished speaking, he shook his head. The lifespan of a 9th-level Transcendent Great Mage is only about 300 years old, and when entering the Holy Rank, the lifespan of a mage will not increase too much, usually around 500 years old. Emperor Qianyuan was the 3rd emperor of the Kyushu Empire. The first 2 emperors were 656 and 432 years old when they died. As a holy mage, Emperor Qianyuan was already more than 500 years old. It is impossible for him to live longer than the founding emperor, and indeed he is about to die. Su Xin listened silently. His mind was racing. The parallel world of the world line he traveled through was extremely unfamiliar with history. From the perspective of a modern person's view of history, it is simply a miracle that there is still an empire of more than 1,500 years in the world, and this empire has only experienced 3 emperors. The 1,500-year-old national celebration ceremony. It is indeed reasonable to hold an elite competition as a celebration, but why invite young mages from all over the world to participate? If the first place in this elite competition is picked by a genius mage from another country, wouldn't the Kyushu Empire lose face in front of the whole world? Qi Shi let out a light snort. She was a little confused about this. Not only all countries in the world, but also major mage powers such as the Temple of Elements and Demon God sect are also eligible to participate. Zhao Yun added a sentence. You mentioned the demon god sect just now. I'm more interested in this demon god sect. Tell me carefully. Su Shin interrupted suddenly. He thought of the innocent girl, Irena, who claimed to be a trainee witch. Hearing this, Zhao Yu looked at Su Shin strangely, but still said. The demon god sect is said to be a sect left by the demon god in ancient times. It has a very deep foundation. I can't say anything about the internal situation. However, the demon god sect has 7 high priests, and the lowest is the 9th level high-ranking mage. As for the Temple of Elements, it is actually a super large magic guild. It is divided into 9 temple masters, corresponding to the 9 elements of gold, wood, water, fire, earth, wind, thunder, light, and darkness. The mages of the temple are all elemental mages. In fact, there is also a super large magic guild called Underworld, but this guild is more mysterious, and it is recognized as the #1 assassin guild in the world. The most famous achievement of this guild is the assassination of the second pope of the Holy Court Empire. Although it was unsuccessful at the time, the pope died the 2nd year after the assassination. Not surprisingly, it is impossible for people from this guild to participate in this kind of public event. Su Shin couldn't help but nodded after listening. He is still not very clear about the overall structure of this world. He has been obsessed with the improvement of his own strength since time travel, but he has neglected to understand other things. Su Shin, are you going to participate? It will officially start in 1 month. Zhao Yu changed the subject and asked Su Shin. The other 3 women also looked at Su Shin, waiting for his reply. Su Shin's answer is also very direct. Participate if it is beneficial. This is the first global mage competition. Although it has not been announced yet, the rewards will definitely be extremely exaggerated. Zhao Yu looked at Su Shin with a very firm tone. He believes that as long as Su Shin participates, he will definitely shine, and the whole world will know the existence of Su Shin, a top monster. Su Shin waved his hand, indicating that this topic will be discussed later in Tianan province. That's all I want to say today. Senior brother Zhao Yun has nothing to add later. Another week in the blink of an eye. It has been half a month since Su Shin leapfrogged and beheaded the 7th Order Mage. With his super strong physique, Su Shin's serious injuries caused by exceeding the limit have almost recovered. This day, Su Shin and his party set foot on the freighter back to the Kyushu Empire. At Tianan City Airport, Su Shin got off the plane with a sullen face, while Zhao Yun and the others beside him had weird expressions. They suddenly felt a little funny. Su Shin actually, airsick. Su Shin himself felt speechless. I am more determined to learn flying magic, and I can't be like a certain beast, who can't fly even if they are all beasts. Jin 12 received the news in advance and had already prepared a car outside the airport and waited. Get in the car and go back to Tianan University campus. As soon as he got out of the car, Su Shin was shocked by the crowd of people in front of him. What surprised him was that many of these people were obviously foreigners. It's because of the Elite Mage contest. There are 9 divisions in the competition, which are located in the 9 mage universities of the Empire. After the top 100 players in each division are preliminarily selected, the main competition will start in the imperial capital. These people are all here to sign up. The preliminary competition of the competition will start in half a month. Seeing that Su Shin was puzzled, Jin 12 explained with a smile on the sidelines. He already knew about Su Shin beheading a 7th Order Mage by leapfrogging, but he didn't deliberately mention it in front of Su Shin. He really formed a stark contrast with his younger sister, Jin Shisen, who had a very shallow city. After entering the school, Su Shin was temporarily separated from a group of people from the Alchemy Club. Younger sister Yang Su joined the Fire Shrine, which ranks 7th in Tianan University's clubs. Like its name, most of its members are fire mages. Yang Su is meditating and practicing in his villa. Su Shin didn't bother her either, and sat in the living room thinking. Su Shin killed many mages in the World of Warcraft, so there were not many consumables left, but magical weapons such as staves piled up. This was a huge fortune, and he was thinking about how to deal with these dirt. Jingle. The doorbell outside the villa rang suddenly. Su Shin went out and saw that it was teacher Zhao Yang. The principal wants to see you. Mr. Zhao cut straight to the point, and what he said shocked Su Shin. Su Xin has a very bad impression of Zhan Tianxing, the principal of Tian'an University. The reason was that for the matter in the magic power training room back then, according to the rules, only 63 points were required to be paid, but he was forced to pay 5,500 points for special circumstances, which resulted in a debt of 50 million yuan. The more he thinks about it, the more he gets annoyed, that cub principal. I've heard about the magic power training room. Your Excellency, the principal thought about it carefully and thought that the original decision was wrong, so he decided to refund you 5,000 points and compensate you with 5,000 points. You can check it now and you will know that your student Kali there are 10,000 points. However, Teacher Zhao's next sentence surprised Su Xin greatly. He didn't let go of his anger, but instead became vigilant. Let's go. Teacher Zhao then signaled Su Xin to follow him to meet the principal. The latter nodded and followed. Principal's office. Zhan Tianxing was fiddling with his Mediterranean hairstyle in front of the mirror, and sat up when he saw some movement outside the door. Come in. Su Xin pushed the door open. I don't know what the principal wants to see the students. Su Xin performed a junior salute, secretly looking at the second strongest person in the Tian'an province in front of him. Student Su really has a straightforward personality. That's how it is. First of all, I want to apologize to you. The handling of the magic training room was really inappropriate. Zhan Tianxing chuckled, his posture not high. This made Su Xin even more flattered. He quickly said, Your Excellency, the principal, is serious. You should have heard about the elite competition. How is it going? Are you interested in participating? Zhan Tianxing also stopped being a secret, and began to speak out. Su Xin replied with a smile, Your Excellency, the principal thinks highly of the students. It will be fine in a few years, but now the students are only freshmen, how can they be qualified to participate in this kind of competition? Hearing this, Zhan Tianxing glanced at Su Xin meaningfully, and asked. If an 18-year-old 6th level mage is not eligible to participate, then who in the world is eligible to participate? Su Xin. His heart skipped a beat. Although he has not stepped into the ranks of Tier 6 mages at present, the data of Tier 5 mages on his personal panel may be stronger than that of Tier 6 mages in general, so it is not an exaggeration to say that he is Tier 6. But the key is, how did the principal know? For a while, Su Xin fell silent. The other party must have been aimless for saying this. Zhan Tianxing hesitated for a moment, then pulled out a hair from his head and put it on the table. The old man has a little research on divination magic. After all, the hair on the table turned into a beam of starlight and outlined a mysterious symbol on Zhan Tianxing. The mysterious symbol instantly sank into the center of Zhan Tianxing's eyebrows, as if to convey some message. Well, although I am not a high-level mage, I have mastered the high-level fire magic, burst flame dance, am I right? He directly demonstrated what divination magic is. The 7th level fire magic, burst flame dance, is the move of the 7th level mage Tang Han. Because the magic was eaten by Su Xin skipped the learning stage and mastered it directly. In less than 2 months, I was promoted from a 3rd level mage to a 6th level mage. Su Xin, to be honest, the old man once thought that there was something wrong with his divination magic, but as a 9th level transcendent master, the old man was in the midst of divination. There is absolutely no possibility for low-level mages to make mistakes, only the results of divination are more or less. Speaking of this, Zhan Tianxing was full of emotion, and said, Your talent, you are really the son of God's chosen. Su Xin opened his mouth, but stopped talking. No wonder the headmaster of Mediterranean not only gave him 5,000 points, but also gave him another 5,000 points. It turned out that he got a part of himself through this special magic. Su Xin didn't think it was a good thing. The headmaster divined himself for no reason. And many more. Su Xin looked at Zhan Tianxing's Mediterranean hairstyle and seemed to realize something. Is this the other party's habit? Not long after, Su Xin walked out of the principal's office. The conversation after Zhan Tianxing's showdown and his ability to divination magic was the stage where the two sides began to argue. In general, Zhan Tianxing proposed to vigorously cultivate Su Xin, as if to build a good teacher-student relationship. For example, a magic training room was specially customized for Su Xin, which only placed gold and fire element spars, and did not require Su Xin to pay points. Another example is to give Su Xin access to many permissions on the student platform of Tian'an University, so that Su Xin can purchase the magic in it for learning without paying points. During the period, Zhan Tianxing also took advantage of the opportunity to propose to accept Su Xin as a disciple, but was rejected by Su Xin. At last, Zhan Tianxing made his request, that is, let Su Xin owe him a favor, and return it to him in the future without violating his personal principles. After weighing it in his heart, Su Xin agreed. In fact, he didn't like the headmaster very much, and always felt that he was too snobbish. But the other party has already made a deal of favors, so naturally he will not be hypocritical. At the moment, Su Xin walked towards the Alchemy Society building. The magic crystal Su Xin obtained from the tomb must be eaten, but he can't black it out in silence, at least he has to say hello to Zhao Yun and others. As the #1 student association of Tian'an University, the Alchemy Society is also during the registration period for the elite competition, so many young mages from other countries want to come and visit. When Su Xin came to the Alchemy Society building, he found that many figures had gathered here. The entrance of the building was surrounded, and Su Xin had no choice but to push through the crowd. A young mage from another country was pushed by him, and immediately cursed in the island language in displeasure, or reverent. Su Xin was taken aback. Islander, he immediately frowned, and suddenly shouted at the man, Ba Ga. The little devil sorcerer who yelled in pure island language was taken aback on the spot, almost thinking that he had met someone from his hometown. What's the situation? In front of the gate, 2 members of the Alchemy Society's foreign society were maintaining order, and Su Xin couldn't help asking. It's Junior Su. These people came here to compete with the 12 seniors. The 2 foreign agency members replied like this. It seems that Jin 12's reputation is not small. This elite competition has not yet started, and there are challengers coming to the door, and there are quite a few. Su Xin nodded after hearing this, then walked into the building and took the elevator all the way to the top floor. In the top hall, Jin 12 is entertaining a group of people. There were 5 people in this group, dressed in the same clothes, 3 men and 2 women, 4 of them had oriental faces, and the remaining one was a Western white man. Su Xin looked at the beautiful woman among the 5, and his expression became a little weird. It's that girl with exaggerated chest muscles. Shui Lianghua was taken away by Uncle Yu after she used her ultimate move. At this moment, she turned her head to look at the door, and when she saw that disgustingly handsome face, her pretty face suddenly turned cold. Lotus, what's wrong? Chu Yu, another woman who was traveling with her, noticed Shui Lianghua's mood swings and asked in a low voice. Nothing. Shui Lianghua shook her head and stopped talking. Su Xin also ignored her. Senior brother 12, what's going on? Jin 12 gave him a helpless look, but he still pretended to be very happy, and introduced, these are the guests of the water temple of the elemental temple, and the principal asked me to treat them well. The entertainment is free, as long as brother Jin promises to compete with me. A handsome man among the 5 spoke with a smile. Brother Hua was joking. As the son of the water god temple, you stepped into the ranks of high-level mages before the age of 25. How could Jin be your opponent? Jin 12 pushed the golden eye sockets on the bridge of his nose, shook his head and smiled. The Temple of Elements is a super-large magic guild. At the beginning of its establishment, there was a president, but with the gradual development and growth, the position of president was banned and replaced by 9 masters who jointly controlled the Temple of Elements. However, gradually, the 9 palace masters began to stand on their own hills, and they would unite only when the elemental temple suffered huge damage to their interests. Usually, it was like being divided into 9 magic guilds, each in charge of their own. And, Godson, represents the most talented member of the Temple of Elements, and the Wayuk who spoke just now is the godson of this generation of Water God Temple. He is 24 years old this year, 2 years older than Jin 12, and he is already a 7th rank lower mage. But Jin Shisen can challenge Wayuk, which shows that this senior brother with a gentle and beast appearance is not as simple as it seems. Su Xin looked around, suddenly feel that something is not right, but can't tell what's going on. Xiao Xingxin, are you looking for me? A familiar Lolita's laughter rang in Su Xin's ears, and at some point, Ji Yu Mengmeng, the little Lolita, was already lying on Su Xin's shoulder. The 5 people in the water temple all showed surprise expressions. He was extremely surprised by Ji Mengmeng's sudden appearance. Hua Yuk glanced at Ji Mengmeng, who was playing with Su Shin's hairstyle, then looked at Su Shin, and asked Jin 12, "Who is this?" "He is a freshman who just entered school this year, and he is also one of the few members of our alchemy club, Su Exen." Jin 12 introduced a sentence along the way. "What?" When Shui Lianhua heard it, she lost her composure and exclaimed. He's a first grader. 18 years old. At the beginning, she thought that Su Shin was a genius from a certain powerful force. After all, as a 6th order mage, she was suppressed like that. She thought she was of the same age, but now you tell me that Su Shin is 5 years younger than her age. For mage geniuses, the age of 18 to 25 is the golden promotion period. Not to mention the 5-year age gap, even half a year can create a huge gap between geniuses. Su Shin looked at Shui Lianhua's shocked appearance of unexpected pregnancy, and just chuckled. At this time, Golden 12 magic sound transmission reminded me. "Su Shin, do you have any problems with this water lotus flower? She seems to hate you very much." Her sister Shui Lianyi is the current master of the Water Temple, a 9th level median mage. Su Shin replied, "There's nothing wrong with it, it's just that there were a few fights before." Jin 12, "President, I have some magic to ask you for advice, look." Su Shin could tell that Jin 12 didn't like the 5 people in the Water God Temple very much, so he opened his mouth to make a rescue. "It is good." Jin 12 smiled and agreed. Seeing this, Hua Yuk thoughtfully took the other 4 people to leave. Before leaving, Shui Lianhua took a peek at Su Shin, and saw that the latter was touching her chest with his right hand as if scratching an itch. Her face suddenly became ashamed and angry, she snorted coldly and shook her sleeves and left. After they left, "Xiao Xingxin, you have become stronger again." Lolita Ji Mengmeng stretched out her little hand and patted Su Shin's shoulder. Su Shin glanced at this cute loli, and then said to Jin 12, about the magic crystal left by the 9th level mage. The smile on Jin 12's face remained undiminished, and he said, "I've already heard about this matter from Zhao Yun, you just keep it, and I will take out some other things to supplement Zhao Yun and the others. That's why I would like to thank Senior Brother 12. Is there anything I can do for you in the Alchemy Club?" Su Shin felt that it was a bit embarrassing to go whoring for nothing. "There will be opportunities in the future. By the way, what magic do you want to ask me for?" Jin 12 changed to another topic. "Sword magic." "It is good." After agreeing, Jin 12 took Su Shin to the basement of the Alchemy Society building. There is an extremely spacious room in the basement, which is specially used for experimenting with magic moves. There are also defensive magic circles around it, which can be used to your heart's content. Although sword magic is a special type of magic, it can be regarded as gold-type magic in general terms, but it is different from other gold-type magic. To master sword magic, the biggest premise is the transformation of mental power into mind power. In the entire Tianan province, there are only 3 known masters of sword magic, my father Jin Jano, me and 13th sister. The reason why the number is so small is because the talent of spiritual power into mind power is not something you can have after hard work. In addition, the combination of sword magic and alchemy magic complements each other. After all, as soon as Jin 12 stretched out his right hand, he saw that a piece of the floor in front of him was suddenly missing, and that piece of floor turned into a golden long sword in an instant. "Go!" With a low shout, the golden long sword suddenly turned into a golden arc, as fast as teleportation. Su Shin's eyes tightened suddenly, and he saw that the tip of the golden long sword had already touched his forehead. He was very excited. Sword magic is completely different from what he imagined. "Good guy. This Imperial sword. Ah woo." Su Shin grabbed the golden long sword, and immediately bit down on it with steel teeth, and devoured it all. "Wow, it's the same as what Xiao Yunyan said, Xiao Xingxin, you can devour magic." The little Lolita Ji Mengmeng danced happily on Su Shin's shoulder. "That's right, I can deepen my understanding of magic moves by devouring magic." Su Shin nodded solemnly. The Golden 12 is deep in the city, and looks like a gentle beast with gold-rimmed glasses, but Su Shin's instinct is right, the Golden 12 is worth paying for. Since you want to make friends with the other party, you should also show some honesty appropriately. No one complains about having few friends, and Su Shin is no different. In addition, apart from being the most gifted among Jin Janu's heirs, Jin 12 definitely has other secrets of his own. He is number 1 on the student ranking list of Tian'an University. It is said that he is a 5th level high-ranking mage, but he is definitely more than that. So that's the case. Then after you ate my sword magic, did you realize something? Jin 12 nodded thoughtfully, and asked along the way. Su Xin was silent for a while. Then, like a perfect copy, he imitated the movement of Jin 12 just now. When he stretched out his right hand, a piece of the floor under his feet was immediately missing, and the stone was transformed into a golden long sword by the magic power. Go! The golden long sword floated in front of Su Xin's eyes, and as Su Xin pointed out, the sword immediately came to Jin 12's eyes like a comet piercing the sky. Seeing this scene, little Lolita and Jin 12 had almost the same expressions, and they froze in place. This is called deepening understanding, instead of instant mastery. Senior brother 12, don't be surprised, I, Su Xin, was born with a sword bone. Ha ha. Su Xin laughed. Jin 12 couldn't help laughing, his face was filled with emotion, and he said, Su Xin, you, being astonished is not enough to describe you. Then let's continue. The move just now is just an introduction to sword magic, let's go to something advanced. I understand, do you want to take all the sword magic moves I have mastered? Discovered by the 12th senior brother. If the senior brother doesn't want to, it's natural to give up. No, I would love to. Jin 12 shook his head, and then said with an unprecedentedly serious expression and a solemn tone, and I seem to be convinced for a moment that you are the protagonist who can change the times. Let's get started, I'll feed you completely. After all, Jin 12's magic power surged all over his body. He was indeed not a 5th level high-ranking mage, but he was not a 7th rank low-ranking mage, but a 6th rank high-ranking mage, and he was only one step away from a 7th rank mage. Looking at the chief disciples of the 9 master universities of the Kyushu Empire, Jin 12 is definitely among the top disciples. But he suddenly said that he was the protagonist of an era, which made Su Xin a little concerned. However, since the other party is willing to let him prostitute his sword magic for nothing, Su Xin of course has no reason to do so. The essence of sword magic is not only slash with one blow, but also the so-called sword array, which is really the method Su Xin knows to control the sword of the Shushan sword immortal. By the way, Mr. Gu, I have a friend who wants to ask you, is there any way for people to block other people's divination? During the feeding, Su Xin suddenly asked the little girl lying on her shoulders. Ah, that bald headmaster predicted you. There are some, but you need to prepare. The little Lolita's answer made Su Xin overjoyed. This Lolita is indeed a hidden NPC character, although it is already so obvious. Great. Su couldn't help touching the little Loli's head, but when he thought that this Loli might be an old witch, his arms froze in place. It's okay, Xiao Xingxin, you can touch it if you want. Thanks for treatment. The stiff arms suddenly became flexible. Don't even say. Loli's head is really comfortable to the touch, and it has a sense of sight of stroking a cat. The discussion between Su Xin and Jin 12 lasted until the evening. Around 7 o'clock in the evening, in a villa in the famous villa area of Tian'an City, Zhan Tianxing, the principal of Tian'an University, is a widow with no children. There is no one else in Nuoda's villa except for the servants who come to clean it at regular times. At this time, Zhan Tianxing was sitting on the sofa in the living room of his villa, and there was a purple jade pendant on the table in front of him. After he injected some magic power into the purple jade pendant, he saw that the jade pendant was shining brightly, and a middle-aged man's upper body projection similar to a holographic image appeared after a while. Your Highness. Zhan Tianxing got up and saluted the middle-aged man. What's the matter, Master Zhan? The middle-aged man's expression was calm and prestige, and his eyes were particularly deep. Zhan Tianxing said with a smile, of course there is good news. The old man has discovered a talent from the sky. If he can be recruited by His Highness, he will grow up in the future and become a great help for His Highness to ascend the throne and proclaim himself emperor. Your Highness frowned slightly when he heard the words, and said in a deep voice, I have no shortage of talents under my command. Master Zhan's main task should be to get Tian'an to support me. Zhan Tianxing shook his head quickly. No, if it's an ordinary genius, how can I recommend it to His Highness? The genius I want to recommend will definitely surprise His Highness. Oh, his name is Su Xin. Zhan Tianxing briefly described Su Xin's situation. A 6th level mage who is only 18 years old. As expected of Master Zhan, it is really my great fortune. My king will arrange to send someone to Tianan province to pick up Su Xin to the imperial capital. After listening, the eyes of His Royal Highness suddenly burst into light. What does it mean to be an 18-year-old 6th order mage? This, His Royal Highness, who is in a high position, does not know how many wizards Tianzhao has seen. How can he not know? However, Zhan Tianxing showed embarrassment, and said, "It's just that the old man discovered him relatively late, and the relationship with him has not been fully acquainted. Today, the old man had a little showdown with him and established a preliminary relationship with him through a favor transaction." Quote, Master Zhan is confused. How can such a genius be dealt with in a deal? When His Royal Highness heard the words, his expression suddenly showed displeasure. Zhan Tianxing was just a little resentful. He had deducted 5,500 points from Su Xin in the way he dealt with special matters before, which obviously left a very bad impression on Su Xin. At that time, Su Xin was only a 3rd-tier mage. Although it was a bit special, it was not enough for Zhan Tianxing to pay attention. However, when Su Xin returned to Tianan University again, it would be difficult to recover, so he had to adopt another method. However, rest assured, Your Highness, Su Xin already owes the old man a favor. If he is not willing to become His Highness's subordinate, then the old man can use this favor to keep him from being used by others. What Zhan Tianxing said next made His Royal Highness almost laugh out of anger. His Royal Highness still doesn't know the old man's plan. The batch of holy essence stones that I just applied to the Emperor not long ago has been approved. Presumably Master Zhan can also touch the threshold of some holy mages with the holy essence stones. Zhan Tianxing immediately looked grateful and said in a serious tone, "Thank you, Your Highness, old man. Please rest assured, Your Highness. Su Xin, this son is an evildoer, but he is extremely dependent on cultivation resources such as elemental spar. The more you accumulate, the more you will naturally push the boat forward and become His Highness's right-hand man in the future. Master Zhan knows as long as he knows." After all, His Royal Highness hung up the magic communication. Ah! Zhan Tianxing looked at the purple jade pendant on the table, and suddenly chuckled. After a while, he took out another cyan jade pendant from the interspatial ring. Back to Su Xin here. Before meeting Su Xin, Zhan Tianxing had already prepared his custom-made magic training room. So after returning from the alchemy club, Su Xin directly entered the magic training room specially designed for him to start training. The magic power training room only provides magic power of gold and fire elements, but because it is a special edition, Su Xin doesn't have to worry about not getting enough magic power. Furthermore, corresponding to the elemental magic power of his own dragon-slaying magic, after Su Xin absorbs it, he will get twice the result with half the effort, which is better than the modeled 9-element magic power training room. As for the element spark consumed, it was not something Su Xin needed to worry about. Let's start. Sitting in the magic power training room, the magic circle immediately began to operate, as if the endless gold and fire dual element magic power permeated the entire room, and the richness was almost turned into substance. Su Xin opened his mouth and inhaled heavily, like a whale swallowing. A huge amount of magic power gathered in his abdomen and was absorbed and digested by his body. On the personal panel, except for the mental power value, the other values once again showed a picture of numbers beating wildly. The effect is much better than last time. In the last 9 hours, the strength and mana values increased by nearly 5,000. But this time, in just 5 hours, it has already tied the previous record. 10 hours down, Su Xin's strength and magic power both increased by 10,000, and his defense value was as high as 20,000. It is impossible for Su Xin to continue with such an exaggerated lifting speed, and his body also needs to buffer the rest time. Therefore, in the next few days, only stay in the magic training room for 10 hours, and then use the rest of the time to eliminate physical fatigue. The third day, Su Xin's power and mana both broke through the 50,000 value mark, stepping into the level of a 6th rank low-ranking mage. Ding! Congratulations to the host for getting the dragon-slaying magic package. Do you want to open it now? At the same time, the system beeped. Open. Ding. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the Dragon Slayer magic of Earth. Really, he had previously endured the high-level Earth magic of the 7th level Mage League way, so that his soil resistance was greatly improved. The dragon-slaying magic he obtained this time will most likely be the dragon-slaying magic of Earth. But no matter what kind of dragon-slaying magic, as long as one is added, Su Shin's strength will be multiplied. His current real mana value is 50,000 x 5 equals 250,000. Host. Su Shin. Age. 18. Level. Tier 6 lower mage. Strength. 52,000. Defense. 150,002. Mental power. 6,100. Magic value. 55,000. Has mastered magic. Slightly. Master Dragon Slayer's self-adaptation ability LV 416, 500,000. Talents. Magic conversion, tempered, soul draining, elementalization. However, the previous problem reappeared. The value of mental power is still greatly dropped. Once the ratio of mental power to strength and mana exceeds 110, then Su Shin's body will send a danger signal. But this time, Su Shin doesn't need to go to the world of Warcraft to hunt and kill monsters to absorb their souls to increase their spiritual power. This is his unique way to improve mental power, but for other mages, they can use some special spiritual potions to increase mental power. Su Shin can take this approach. Principal's office. Zhan Tianxing looked at the bill on the table and fell silent for a while. He did not take advantage of the principal's position to misappropriate university resources to desert Su Shin alone, because that would cause opposition from the rich and powerful in Tianan province, so he had to pay out of his own pocket to buy from companies that specialize in selling elemental crystals and other products. Good guy. In just 3 days, the bill was hundreds of millions. This Su Shin, is this old man going to kill me? Zhan Tianxing muttered in dissatisfaction, feeling a little headache. What can a person do? Zhan Tianxing doesn't care about Su Shin's favor at all, but his own value, which allows him to use Su Shin to obtain what he needs among the big shots in the imperial capital. He, Zhan Tianxing, is alone and has no worries. He only wants to go one step further to become a holy mage. That's why he dared to take the risk and play tricks with those big shots in the imperial capital. Anyway, after getting what he wanted, he could just leave even if something happened. In the future, when I become a holy mage, who are the big figures in the imperial capital and want to invite me back, Zhan Tianxing, with a smile on their faces. Your Excellency, Principal, Student Su is applying for some special magical potions that can provide mental power. At this time, the rooms were pushed away, and Zhao Yang reported respectfully. A magic potion that boosts mental power. Zhan Tianxing frowned slightly, probably preparing for learning sword magic. But this kind of special magic potion, one bottle can cost tens of thousands, but the effect varies from person to person. It's okay to say dozens of bottles, but if there are more than 100 bottles, then Zhan Tianxing can directly give his wealth to Su Shin. Zhan Tianxing's net worth is only about tens of billions. There is an upper limit to the wealth capacity of an empire, and most of this wealth is in the hands of the noble group of the empire. It is true that Zhan Tianxing is a 9th-level transcendent master, but he is not strong enough to seize wealth without hesitation of the rules. Also, go and tell Su Shin that he must strive for a good ranking in this elite competition. Well, remember to be more tactful. Although Zhan Tianxing was unwilling, he still agreed. Su Shin is going to participate in the elite competition. Isn't he only in the 1st grade? Teacher Zhao Yang couldn't help being surprised when he heard this, but he didn't say it. After resigning respectfully, Zhao Yang began to place orders with the company in the name of Zhan Tianxing. A bottle of mental strength potion, after Su Shin takes it, can increase the value of mental strength by about 100 points. This is still because he has a certain aspect of talent, otherwise it is absolutely impossible to be so exaggerated. And Zhan Tianxing only provided him with 50 bottles in total, which was the limit Zhan Tianxing could accept. Therefore, Su Shin's spiritual power directly increased by 5,000 in one day. Then in the next few days, increase the strength and mana value by 10,000 per day. Both strength and mana broke through the 100,000 mark, and the defense value was as high as 260,000. On the personal panel, Su Shin's level has also reached the upper level of the 6th level, and it is estimated that he is not far from the 7th level of Mage. Of course he wants to continue to suck Zhan Tianxing's blood greedily, but the latter also has his own limit. This day, Su Shin walked out of the training room and returned to the students' villa on campus. At first glance, the silly sister Yangsu was not at home. After a long absence, he took out his mobile phone and found that there was a missed call from Jin Shisen on it. Su Shin called back, and after learning that Su Shin had finished practicing, Jin Shisen said to go to him immediately. Soon, Jin Shisen appeared in the living room of the villa. It's in a hurry, what's the matter? Seeing Jin Shisen's unspeakable appearance, Su Shinwo's expression became serious. Last night, my father suddenly lost his temper and scolded brother 12th very badly. Jin Shisen raised his pretty face and looked at Su Shin with a complicated expression. Su Shin was stunned by her appearance of a bitter woman. Father learned that you have been very close to Principal Zhan recently. He said that Principal Zhan's selfish and indifferent personality would treat you so preferentially, which shows that your talent is definitely not just average, so he blamed brother 12. Why sit and watch you and Principal Zhan get so close? Only then did Su Shin understand something. He was calm and said, I have spent more than 1 billion yuan on Principal Zhan during this period. This billion yuan is real cash wealth. Can your father give me so much at once? Don't get me wrong, I'm not blaming you, I'm just a little curious. Jin Shisen quickly explained, for fear that Su Shin might misunderstand. Su Shin blinked, then laughed. Said, there is a favor transaction between me and Principal Zhan. He sees my personal potential value, so he supports me so much. If I take him more than 1 billion, he will definitely be able to earn back from me in the future, or even more. And for this, I am also mentally prepared. Without this wealth of more than 1 billion, how could it be possible for Su Shin to increase his strength so exaggeratedly in a short period of time? It's all worth it. At this time, Yang Su suddenly swears and walks into the living room. She doesn't even realize that there is a guest, but looks at her brother directly, with a shocked expression on her face. Brother, you want to participate in the elite competition. Quote. How do you know? Su Shin looked surprised. He hadn't had time to tell this girl. Everyone knows that the preliminary competition mechanism of the elite competition is a bit special. There are too many applicants, and it is impossible to conduct one-on-one competition step by step. Therefore, the headmaster Zhan of the Tianan division will select the top 100 in advance. Come on, the unselected contestants can challenge the top 100 selected. In this way, the efficiency is improved and the gold content is beyond doubt. Oh my god, brother, did you give Principal Zhan some drugs? You are among the top 100. How could Yang Su not be shocked? How could he not lie? Which of the top 100 is not a 6th tier mage, and there are even a few 7th tier mages? How old is my big brother? 18 years old, and it was only 2 or 3 months ago when he and I took the master examination together. Basic exercises should not be 6. Big brother, I am already a 6th order mage. Su Shin walked up to her younger sister and patted her on the head with a smile. Hear this. Yang Su's eyes immediately stared like copper bells. What? My brother is already a 6th order mage. I'm still a 2nd order mage. Woohoo. In a few months, from a 2nd tier mage to a 6th tier mage. Yang Su, dare not be so bold even in my dreams. You are already at the 6th level. Jin Shisen's astonished voice sounded, but as soon as he finished speaking, his expression became taken for granted. This guy was able to leapfrog and kill 2 7th tier mages. Even if he said that he was a 7th tier mage now, there seemed to be nothing unacceptable. But why did Principal Zhan choose you among the top 100? Jin Shisen changed the subject and thought for a while. Su Shin pouted. Isn't it easy to guess? If you don't hear a sound after more than $1 billion, then the headmaster of Mediterranean Sea will go crazy. So Zhan Tianxing was anxious to let Su Shin display his so-called worth, and he wanted to use the most eye-catching method. Brother, who is she? Younger sister Yang Su found out that there was an extra person in the living room at home, and she was a big blonde beauty, so she immediately became vigilant. My brother suddenly disappeared for more than a month. Could it be that during this break, he was mixed with this golden-haired woman? She is Jin Shisen, a first-class student in the first grade this year, and a good friend of Big Brother. Su Shin briefly introduced Jin Shisen, and the latter also took advantage of the opportunity to say hello to Yang Su. Yang Su let out an "oh," and didn't ask any further questions. There are still 3 days before the official start of the preliminary round of the elite competition. As for Su Shin, naturally there is no need to prepare anything. Ever since, the three of them sat in the living room and chatted without saying a word. Sister Yang Su also talked about the recent situation of other people. For example, Su Shin's squad leader, the shy girl Liang Yun, joined the Narcissus Club and performed very well. The green tea girl Meng Yuanyuan has recently gotten close to a senior genius mage who is a direct disciple of a mage family in Tianan City. According to the news, Shui Hua is not keen on cultivation, and is still working hard to establish his university contacts. There's also the recent Zhang Yuwei, who always comes to our fire shrine for business, saying it's for a discussion, but in fact, she always knocks on me about your situation every time. Does she want revenge? After all, brother, you beat her like that in the mage examination. Yang Su looked at his big brother and blinked his lovely eyes. Zhang Yuwei. Su Shin was in a daze. He has a good impression of Zhang Yuwei, because Su Shin himself prefers the kind of heroic and capable girl. Speaking of which, suddenly there was a lot of commotion outside the villa. When I went out, I found that many people had gathered around. Su Shin is out. Is this the first-year student of Tianan University? He was selected as the top 100 in Tianan Division. Did he offend Principal Zan, or is he really powerful? You can stand shoulder to shoulder with a 6th order mage at the age of 18. Su Shin, are you number 1 in Tianan? Crooked son. So handsome. ... Most of them were first-year students who came to watch the excitement, but there were certainly some who came to explore Su's inner reality by watching the excitement. As soon as Su Shin came out, these cubs who came to watch specially began to chatter and discuss, buzzing, like flies in the toilet, so annoying. A radiant beauty squeezed out from the crowd, and the microphone escaped from nowhere, and started interviewing directly. Student Su Shin, I am a media reporter from the Voice of Master Tianan. We have interviewed Principal Zan before, and the principal stated that there is nothing wrong with the top 100 preliminary selections in the Tianan competition area. Quote. But we know, Su Shin, you are just a first-year student who just entered this year. May I ask how you feel now? Are you confident to keep your top 100? It is currently in the registration stage of the Tianan competition area, so Tianan University allows some news media to enter the campus for interviews and filming. The elite competition is to be broadcast live to the world. This is an unprecedented event, and it is not just a self-examination in the circle of mages. Su Shin thought for a while. Then he took the microphone and said loudly, I owe my achievements today to the cultivation of Your Excellency the Principal. After finishing speaking, he returned the microphone to the other party. He was just expressing his attitude. After all, he had eaten the billions of dollars in cash from the headmaster of the Mediterranean Sea. If he didn't show anything, he would be too foolish. Without waiting for the reporter to ask another question, Su Shin closed the door of the villa with a snap. What do you think? This Su Shin is really not weaker than a 6th order mage. In a corner of the crowd gathered outside the villa, several descendants of aristocratic families gathered together, and one of them spoke in a deep groan. They are students of Tianan University, but they have graduated before and now, and they are not yet 25 years old. Taking advantage of their age, they are all of good strength, and none of them is lower than the 5th level. It's not that we don't know Principal Zan's temperament. He can do this, which basically proves that Su Shin is definitely a genius among geniuses. Presumably, Principal Zan did this to make Su Shin famous. Is there a choice? I'll definitely challenge Su Shin first. Besides him, which one of the top 100 looks easy to deal with? Think I'm stupid? Don't underestimate others. It is impossible for Su Shin to stand in the limelight from an ordinary family background without 2 people. It's true, but he should challenge him. Quote. A few disciples of aristocratic mages, you say something to me. They didn't underestimate Su Shin in their words, but they couldn't really think that Su Shin was a 6th order mage. After all, the other party was 18 years old. 18-year-old 6th level mage, this is equivalent to a full score of 750 in the college entrance examination, just like someone who scored 7,500 in the exam. Even if he is a child of a family with good vision, he can't think of this at all, because it is too terrifying and unimaginable. Even if you don't participate in the elite competition and get a good ranking, once you reach the 6th level at the age of 18, once you are sure, you will definitely be a man of the day in the entire Kyushu Empire, standing at the top of the pyramid of genius mages, the kind of talent that is unmatched in the world. Among the top 100 initially selected by Zontianxing this time, there are only 30 mages in Tianan province, and the remaining 70 are young mages from all over the world. Among these countries, there are geniuses from other empires, as well as geniuses from small countries, and there are quite a few of them. No one will be surprised that they can be selected. After all, they are all 24 or 25 years old. Only Su Xin. For an 18-year-old freshman, this information is too dazzling. No, the elite competition has not yet officially started, and some people have already signed up to challenge the top 100 selected. No one is going to challenge Wayuk and other 7th level mages. The rest will be more or less challenging. Only Su Xin. His number of challengers surged to thousands of people in just one afternoon. Principal's office. Zon Tianxing looked at the list of challengers to Su Xin. Most of them were only 5th level mages, but there were also many 6th level mages. The headmaster of Mediterranean not only showed a smile on his face. To him, as long as it proves to everyone that Su Xin is an 18-year-old 6th order mage, that's enough. An 18-year-old 6th tier mage. In the entire 1,500-year history of the Kyushu Empire, there are only 3. Su Xin. It's the 4th. The next day, Su Xin's name was thoroughly fermented in Tianan province. As soon as the news spread, it caused a very heated discussion on the internet. A first-year freshman of the Masters University, who was only 18 years old, was selected as the top 100 in the preliminary competition of the Tianan division. Of course, most of the internet is full of doubts. At this time, Su Xin's student villa. What are you doing? He had just finished talking on the phone with his adoptive father Yang Zhengbing, and when he saw his younger sister Yang Su playing with her cell phone with a hideous face, he couldn't help asking a question curiously. The people on the internet are so hateful. They are all slandering you, brother. I can't help but scold them. Su Xin felt speechless. He knew best about the environment on the internet, so he asked instead, "You have a lot of free time, what strength do you have now?" Unexpectedly, when Yang Su heard this, he immediately froze in place as if his whole body was hit by a click, and the fingers that quickly tapped the phone screen also froze in place. Her angry pretty face suddenly showed some dejected expressions, and she said in a low tone, "I went to meditate." After finishing speaking, he went to the training room in the villa. "Ah, it hit my sister," Su Xin said with confidence. But the cruel fact is indeed in front of his eyes. Yang Su's talent is only average. I am afraid that being able to become a 7th tier city is already a big hit. Dragon Slayer magic cannot be taught. Su Xin pondered a little. He couldn't teach his sister dragon slaying magic by precept and example. It would be better to say that Su Xin has not killed a single dragon, and his dragon slaying magic has not yet been fully accomplished. 18. Dragon Slayer Magic Crystal. If he can create the dragon slaying magic crystal in the future, maybe he can make Yang Su a half-baked dragon slaying mage. Although it is unorthodox, it can definitely greatly improve his strength. Thinking of this, Su Xin came to the training room, looked at the downcast Yang Su, and said in a solemn tone, "Xiao Su, you start to learn some fighting skills. After brother participates in this elite competition, there will be important things to announce to you." Yang Su raised her small face, a little puzzled. What fighting skills does the mage learn? With brother here, you will definitely not be weaker than others. Su Xin touched the melon seeds on her little head, and made a promise. "I see, bro." Hearing this, Yang Su suddenly became motivated. "Well, then you should practice first. There are quite a few people calling me, and I have to choose some to call back." Su Xin nodded, went back to the living room and started making a phone call. He participated in the Elite 270 competition and was among the top 100 in the preliminary competition. This news cannot be concealed. After the news spread, the former tutor, principal and some students of Los Angeles No. 2 Master Middle School began to tell him call up. Of course Su Shin would not promise anything to them, but it was necessary to call back. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. Time flies, and in the blink of an eye, 2 days later, the elite contest officially starts today. In the battle zone of Tian'an University College. The female media reporter Wen Li of Voice of Master Tian'an was already in place, and many cameras were aimed at the ring in front of her to start the live broadcast. She smiled sweetly at the camera and said, "Friends from the audience, good morning everyone, I am Lily, and I am currently in the Tian'an University student battle zone. There were originally 10 arenas here, and 20 more arenas have been added for this global elite competition, while the remaining 70 arenas are located in the northern and southern combat areas of Tian'an University. Yes, there are a total of 100 arenas. The preliminary competition mechanism is to adopt the method of guarding the rings. The top 100 selected by the principal will each guard a ring and wait for other contestants to challenge. Now, there is still an hour before the official start of the preliminary competition. Lily will take everyone to visit the most popular, hottest and most questioned ring leader in the Tian'an competition area, Su Xinsu. The ring assigned to Su Shin is number 9. His first match opponent is still uncertain. After all, because there are too many people challenging him, it will be randomly selected by the official system. About challenger. If the challenge fails, then it is eligible to continue to challenge other ring masters. And if the ring master is defeated, he can also challenge other ring students. The top 100 people who were initially selected may be questioned, but the top 100 people who are finally determined by this competition system are absolutely beyond doubt. At this time, Su Shin was standing on the number 9 ring. He looked around and saw that the student battle area was already full of people. Some of them were discussing excitedly, and some picked up their mobile phones to start video recording, and even more exaggerated even pulled up the cheerleading squad and shouted slogans. This kind of scene of standing on the ring, as if surrounded by monkeys, made Su Shin feel a little uncomfortable. At this time, the female reporter Wen Li approached with a smile on her face, and asked with the microphone, "Student Su Shin, I think you must be very excited right now." Su Shin looked at this annoying female reporter, and pointed to the ground under her feet. Wen Li was confused by this action, but suddenly thought of something, and immediately said, "Student Su, you mean that you will show your true strength in the arena soon, and trample all those who doubt you under your feet?" Su Shin rolled his eyes. Is this the enterprise-level understanding of top media people? Climb for me. Don't bother me. He bluntly said that if you treat this kind of reporter, if you don't say something harsh, it will stick to you like psoriasis. Wen Li opened her mouth, but soon resumed her professional smirk, and said to the camera, "It seems that Su Shin is preparing for the battle with all his strength, let's go interview other ring leaders." In fact, her task is to be in charge of Su Shin. After all, Su Shin's popularity is too high now. Many people expect him to show his original shape in the future, and some people expect him to really show his talent and strength against the sky. Time goes by little by little. The atmosphere in the entire battle zone is gradually boiling. Countdown. 10, 9, 8, 2, 1. The old man announces that the Tian'an division of the first Global Mage Elite competition has officially started. The principal Zhan Tianxing appeared in front of everyone at some point. With his hands behind his back, he stood proudly in the sky, full of the demeanor of a senior. Wen Li quickly took out her mobile phone to check. For the elite competition, the official specially made an app. Click to enter the Tian'an competition area, and there will be the top 100 selected by Zhan Tianxing. With the official start of the preliminary competition, the first 100 challengers are also displayed. Of course, no one challenged those 7th order mages. Wow! Wen Li exclaimed. Su Shin's first opponent turned out to be a 4th-year student from Tian'an University, and Zhang Zhan, the president of Tian'an University's Thunder Shrine. Let's see Su Shin's expression when he knows who his opponent is. Have you seen it? He has no fear. The female reporter in the audience cheered and chirped in front of the camera, making Su Shin feel a little magical. Is this a funny show? Zhang Zhan, the president of the Thunder Shrine, a mage of the Lei family, is the son of the head of the Zhang family of the Mage family in Tian'an province. The talent is good. It is said that the affinity of the thunder element has reached 93. It's just that he is not very high in the student ranking list of Tian'an University. He is only 7th, not as good as that dead ghost Chen Changfang. Swish swish swish. As soon as Zhang Zan stepped onto the number 9 ring, the audience's eyes turned to this side one after another. Su Shen's popularity is too high now. The arena challenge in the Tianan competition area is divided into the student battle area, the northern actual combat area, and the southern actual combat area, but the student battle area obviously has the largest number of onlookers. There is no other reason, it is him, Su Shen, who is a first-year student as a radio student. It's about to start. Whether this Su Shen is really real or not will be revealed soon. But Zhang Zan seems to be only a 5th level mage, right? If he is a 6th level mage, it will be even more interesting. Hey, this Su Shen's background has been exposed on the internet. He beat up Zhang Zan's sister during the master's examination this year. I'm afraid it's because the enemy is jealous this time. I'm also a big brother. How can my sister be bullied? If I were Zhang Zan, Su Shen would have to pay a heavy price. Countless sights converged on the arena, and the crowd below the stage was noisy. Each arena will assign a university teacher as a temporary referee, and the referee for the number 9 arena is Mr. Zhao Yang Zhao. To say Zhao Yang, he is still a little dazed. After all, he has been paying attention to Su Shen since the master examination. Su Shen had only been out of his sight for more than a month, and he suddenly became one of the 100 ringmasters in the preliminary round, which made him still a little dazed. The challenge has officially begun. He quickly came back to his senses, and announced to Su Shen and Zhang Zan on the ring. As the name suggests, Zhang Zan is handsome and handsome. I've always wanted to get to know Su Shuidi, but I didn't expect that it would end up in this way. Zhang Zan looked at Su Shen with a rather emotional expression. He looked at the countless pairs of eyes anxiously watching the show under the stands, and said again, similarly, I am also very puzzled. What kind of ability does Junior Su have to be able to stand in such an arena? In addition, I didn't want to pay attention to the fact that the younger sister was beaten, because it was the younger sister's own business, but since I have the opportunity today, maybe I have to pay back the prize. After all, seeing Zhang Zan's expression froze, he shouted in a low voice, let's go to the 5th level Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt. Rumble. As soon as the voice fell, there was a huge thunderous sound from the entire arena. Zhang Zan's whole body was filled with violent thunder elemental magic power, and the magic power instantly transformed into 5 huge thunderbolts with a length of more than 10 meters, like a submerged Long Chuyuan bombarded towards Su Shen like a bombardment. Hiss. 6th order magic. Senior Zhang Zan probably hasn't stepped into the ranks of 6th level mages yet, but he can cast 6th level magic. Casting 6th level magic at the level of a 5th level mage. Su Shen, it's a bit difficult to be scary. The crowd in the audience exclaimed again and again. As expected of an elite competition, everyone who has the courage to enter the ring is ordinary. Somewhere under the stage, Zhang Yue looked nervously at the ring with beautiful eyes. She knew that she must not get close to Su Shen in the battle, and she was relieved to see that her big brother had already distanced herself. But the next second, Su Xinshi stood with 2 fingers side by side, pointing towards Zhang Zan. Call out. A sound of breaking through the air suddenly sounded, and everyone felt their eyes flashed, only to see a flash of golden light in time. And then a snort was heard. Everyone sees. Zhang Zan's shoulder was actually pierced by a golden longsword, nailing him to the floor of the arena so that he could not move. My grandma casts magic faster than you. Su Shen withdrew the golden longsword, waved lightly towards the front, and scattered Zhang Zan's 5 rings like a breeze. Quiet. The originally noisy audience, at this moment, unexpectedly presents a kind of extremely quiet scene. The female reporter Wen Li also wanted to passionately explain the content of the battle. In front of the camera, she had a dazed expression on her face. What else does this explain? The genius mage Zhang Zan was beaten by Su Shen that day. She can be sure that if this is a life and death battle, the sword will not stab the shoulder but the head. Oh. After a short period of silence, the audience roared with excitement. Really, Su Shen is really a 6th order mage. I am shocked. Sword magic. This is sword magic. But Su Shen has only been in school for 3 months, how can he master sword magic in such a short period of time? What is said on the internet is all false. It is said that Su Shen's physique is not weaker than that of a beast soul mage, and he is only good at melee combat. Who will explain to me that this is only good at melee combat? 10 years old fan of Su Shin, come here uninvited. I want to see who is questioning my husband. The much anticipated Su Shin's first battle not only dispelled doubts, but also shocked everyone's eyes with an exaggerated way of defeating the enemy with one move. However, at this moment, an abrupt voice suddenly sounded from the crowd. Let's see who Su Shin's next opponent will be. Everyone was shocked and quickly opened the mobile app. The ring challenge is not a continuous wheel. After the ring master wins the challenge, there will be a rest period. If the consumption is too high, then the recovery potion will also be provided for free. The challenge will be temporarily ended only if it is determined to win with a seriously injured body. Su Shin defeated his opponent in seconds with one move, and it seemed that he didn't need any rest time. And his next opponent was also randomly selected. Since Su Shin was determined to be the ringleader until now, his number of challengers has already exceeded 10,000. Hiss. Su Shin's next opponent turned out to be Shouri, the genius mage of the island country who lived a good life, Yamada Jiro. This Yamada Jiro is a 6th rank high-ranking mage. The crowd in the audience suddenly exclaimed again and again. In fact, except for Su Shin, among the 100 ring masters, all of them are at the upper level of Tier 6. The entire Tianan University students, Su Shin, was selected, and even Jin 12 was not selected. Jin 12's true level is the upper 6th rank, Zhan Tianxing must know, but Jin 12's enthusiasm for the competition is not high, Zhan Tianxing is not reluctant. Zhang Zhan is just an appetizer, and Jiro Yamada is the main course. Yamada Jiro is a real 6th level high-ranking, genius mage on the island country. If Su Shin still beats him, it is completely true that he is an 18-year-old 6th level mage. Labor and capital are ignited. 18-year-old 6th level mages, the entire Kyushu Empire has only been founded by 3 people so far. Zhang Zhan was lifted off the ring with a dazed look on his face. Immediately afterwards, a young man wearing a mage's robe politely stepped onto the stage 9. Zhang Zhan was carried off the ring. Zhang Yue and other Zhang family children hurried over with concern. Brother, are you okay? Zhang Zhan was naturally fine. After all, Su Shin held back. But the physical trauma is normal, but the psychological blow is hard to describe. At this time, Zhang Zhan stared blankly at the sky. His eyes were out of focus, and what Su Shin said was still echoing in his mind. I am a thunder mage. He actually said that my magic release speed is not as fast as her grandma's. Let Brother Zhan go to recuperate first. A disciple of the Zhang family couldn't bear to see Zhang Zhan like this. Zhang Zhan was sent away by the temporary medical staff. Only then did the Zhang family look at the number 9 ring together with the others. This Su Shin is simply too monstrous. Brother Zhan is not weak. He defeated Brother Zhan so easily, not to mention a 6th level mage, but his combat power is definitely comparable. I'm really having a hard time calming down now. This Su Shin is too exaggerated. Fortunately, Brother Zhan didn't trouble Su Shin when Su Shin entered school. I heard that Chen Chengfeng lost contact. It is said that he went to the World of Warcraft to find Su Shin. Now it seems. Maybe Su Shin found it, and then the others disappeared. Quote. Zhang Yue took a deep breath, staring at Su Shin on the ring with her beautiful eyes. The Zhang family disciple next to her talked too much. She couldn't help but lightly reprimanded. Stop talking, it's about to start. While speaking, Zhang Yue recalled the scenes of confrontation with Su Shin in the examination area. Ring. Yamada Jiro bowed slightly to Su Shin very politely. He speaks Kyushu dialect very fluently. Su Jun is really talented. Even if the Kyushu Empire has outstanding people and countless talented mages like Crucian Carp crossing the river, those geniuses will pale in comparison with Su Jun. My lord, Yamada Jiro, is a 6th rank high-ranking mage, but he is already 24 years old. Compared with Su Jun, my lord is very ordinary. Yamada Jiro spoke very slowly, but very clearly, and the audience in the audience heard it. Yo-ho, is this little devil quite polite? What do you know? All the cubs in the island country are like this. They only know small courtesy but no big integrity. If Jiro Yamada said such a compliment to Su Shin, if he defeated Su Shin in a while, wouldn't it be imperceptible to elevate himself up? I see, but even if you lose to a 6th rank high-ranking mage, it doesn't seem to be a problem, right? By now, although the mages watching the battle didn't say anything, they already recognized Su Shin's monstrous status in their hearts. After all, the facts are there, it's not that if you don't admit it, it doesn't exist. The next place in Ring 9. All the members of the Alchemy Club were gathering together. Although the members of the foreign club were not in a match with Su Shin, they were still shouting and cheering for Su Shin at the moment, and it was very lively. Why is my brother's second opponent going to fight a 6th rank high-ranking mage? Yong Su stood beside Jin Shisen, his face was full of displeasure. Jin Shisen remained silent, having had that experience, she had absolute confidence in Su Shin. Brother Su, come on. Senior sister PHS held up her magic mirror, on which such a paragraph of words kept flashing. President Jin 12's eyes wandered a bit, as if he didn't care about the upcoming battle in the arena. His eyes wandered around, and finally stopped at the principal Zhan Weisheng, who was not far away. Zhan Tianxing frowned slightly at this moment. He actually didn't really want Su Shin to face the 6th rank high-ranking mage so early. If he won, it would naturally suit him, but if he lost, it would give him a bit of a headache. The 18-year-old 6th level mage is indeed extremely evil, but if he only has a level and does not have the combat power to be proud of the same level, it will disappoint the big shots in the imperial capital. At this time, teacher Zhao Yang looked at Su Shin on the ring, surrounded by voices urging him, the referee, to announce the start quickly. He asked Su Shin, "Su Shin, have you rested?" "Well, teacher Zhao can announce the start." Su Shin nodded. His mind was a little wandering, thinking that if he defeated his opponent with one move every time, wouldn't the number of challenge matches that he had to conduct every day soar dramatically. But he, Su Shin, doesn't want to pretend to be a pig and eat a tiger, and he doesn't like to tease opponents who are inferior to him. He looked up at the opponent in front of him. Seeing the concealed chill in the other party's eyes, the corners of his mouth can't help but rise slightly. Is this cub in a good mood? The second challenge in ring number 9 starts now. With the announcement of teacher Zhao Yang, Jiro Yamada kicked suddenly, like stepping on a breeze. His whole body was wrapped in a wind whirlpool and quickly distanced himself from Su Shin. It can be seen that he is also extremely afraid of Su Shin's sword magic. Immediately afterwards, Yamada Jiro patted the 3 gray bags on his waist, and the ferocious roar of 3 monsters suddenly sounded from the ring. One is a 6th rank high-ranking monster, Gale Leopard. The other end is a 6th level high-ranking monster, the Wisteria Demon. The last one is a 6th order high-ranking monster, the all-armed Demon Bear. Wow, the whole student was in an uproar in the war zone. This Yamada Jiro is not only a wind mage, but not an imperial mage. As for this beast master, there is also a brother in the Alchemy Society, but that brother has been wandering in the world of Warcraft, and the dragons have been seen all year round, and he did not come back in this elite competition. Gale Cannon. Yamada Jiro pointed at Su Shin and started drinking. I saw the Gaifeng leopard, which is more than 10 meters tall, suddenly opened its bloody mouth, and the strong wind was gathering in the mouth. In an instant, a sound boom was heard, and a transparent wind cannon attacked Su Shin, and go. At the same time, Jiro Yamada conducts again. Humanoid plant monsters like the Wisteria Demon pressed their arms against the ground, and vines grew rapidly all over the arena. In the blink of an eye, dozens of purple vines bounded towards Su Shin like flexible pythons. The last one-armed demon bear is 20 meters tall and full of explosive power. When it steps out, the whole arena roars. Its bloated figure does not appear to be slow at all. It is 100 steps away from Su Shin. The distance is almost a blink of an eye. It is naturally a bit difficult for Yamada Jiro to control 3 6th level monsters at a time, but to everyone's surprise, he still has the energy to cast wind magic on Su Shin himself. The 6th level magic of the wind system, the big tornado. In an instant, a strong wind swept across the entire arena, and there were 6 giant tornadoes born in response to the situation. This set of tricks without explanation made the scalps of the audience feel numb. Isn't it a foul on him? Su Shin wants to face 4 6th level mages by himself. No way, this is the advantage of the Beast Master, and the rules of the competition allow it. This is an elite competition, bringing together elite mages from all over the world. Wait, look at Su Shin's expression, he seems very happy. Everyone sees. Su Shin on the stage really showed a happy expression. How could he not like it? It was very inconvenient to hunt and kill monsters to obtain souls in the human inhabited area. Now in this kind of competition, there are still some who take the initiative to give away monsters, and they are still 3 heads and 6 ranks. This Su Shin's talent is so monstrous, even if he loses to me, it will only be due to his age. If he can, accidentally, damage his foundation. Yamada Jiro stared at the front, his heart became colder and trickier. The Kyushu Empire has always looked down on island nations. Now, if I, Jiro Yamada, have the opportunity to abolish a top genius among the top of the Kyushu Empire, the expressions of these Kyushu people in the audience will be very exciting. Sword. As soon as he thought of this, he heard Su Shin chuckle. I saw Su Shin stretch out his right hand. A large piece of ground in front of the arena began to soften at a speed visible to the naked eye like a fire, and then a pair of golden long swords were made through alchemy magic. There must be hundreds of swords. Su Shin's mental strength is over 10,000, and Jin 12 can only control 36 handles at a time. That is, Jin Shisen, who originally mastered sword magic, couldn't help but exclaimed. She thought that Su Shin wanted to show off his terrifying strength and melee combat ability in front of everyone, but she didn't expect to choose sword magic. And she's pretty much sure. Su Shin only mastered sword magic after returning from World of Warcraft, that is to say, the interval between them was only about a week or 2. Sword magic, 100 turns sword formation. Shish. Hundreds of golden long swords turned into a golden torrent in an instant, and then turned into a storm of blades. With just one encounter, they strangled the bullying 6th order magic beast, the all-armed devil bear, to the point of blood foam. What? Yamada Jiro stared. The defense of the all-armed demon bear is also superior among the 6th order monsters. How could it be instantly killed into flesh and blood after a face-to-face encounter? I thought you were just being modest, but I didn't expect you to be so ordinary. Su Shin's light laughter echoed in the ears of Yamada Jiro. The latter just watched helplessly as the golden sword storm wiped out all 6 of his tornadoes as if he had entered an uninhabited land. Afterwards, the sound of the sword trembled and resounded, turning into a stream of light and shining like a comet in the night sky. Puff puff, Lai Fengbao and Wisteria Demon faced each other again and were strangled to pieces. I think, at this time, Yamada Jiro didn't know that Su Shin was so powerful and terrifying that he couldn't get over it with common sense. An 18-year-old 6th level mage is already a shocking move, but because of his age, he often appears to be lacking in foundation, and his combat performance will not be too different from other genius mages at the same level, or even worse. But what kind of monster is this Su Shin? It's nothing more than becoming a 6th level mage at the age of 18, but he still has the performance of being invincible at the same level. Before Jiro Yamada could say the last word, lose, he heard the whirlwind around him being destroyed by force, and immediately felt that the scenery in front of him was flickering. Bang! Yamada Jiro's head fell heavily on the ring. He didn't seem to have reacted yet, and his face still had a shocked expression, but when his head rolled around and his eyes met his headless body, he realized. So, that's my body. Yamada Jiro's shocked face instantly turned into endless panic and despair. He opened his mouth to shout something, but in the end his consciousness sank into the darkness, maintaining an expression of death. This Yamada Jiro did his best when he made a move, as if he wanted to kill Su Shin instantly, who would believe that he didn't have any malicious intentions. Where could Su Shin be a good man and a faithful woman? He directly cut off his head with a sword, and returned the color. The audience scored twice, and there was deathly silence again. After a while, the voices of a few people talking in a few words suddenly sounded. Dead, dead, .0, hiss, Su Shin is so ruthless. This is another instant kill, killing 3 6th level monsters and a 6th level mage at once. I can't hold back anymore. What did this Su Shin grow up on, a mutant creature? How can he be so strong? How can he exaggerate so unreasonably? I also challenged Su Shin. Hurry up and cancel the challenge, hurry up. Draft, Wo-ri, why is the app owner locked? Hurry up and cancel it, otherwise Su Shin will kill you in seconds without even having a chance to admit defeat on stage already. Compared with defeating the 6th rank high-ranking mage Yamada Jiro, the audience in the audience was more terrified that Su Shin was so ruthless and killed Yamada Jiro under the gaze of so many eyes. How cruel is his heart? I have been killing fish in RT Mart for 10 years, and I think my heart is too cold, but compared with Su Shin, it is still far inferior. This Yamada Jiro is not weak, and his combat power is also very good in the same level, but in the eyes of Su Shin, he is just an ordinary mausoleum. Zhan Tianxing pondered a little in his heart. Killing is killing, for him, it is not a big deal. At this time, the young island country mages in the audience couldn't bear it anymore. They glared at Su Shin and asked Zhan Tianxing loudly. Is it possible to intentionally kill people in the elite competition? Is this the real purpose of His Majesty the Emperor of the Kyushu Empire holding the elite competition? I will be threatened with death when I come to participate in the elite competition. It can be said that every word punishes the heart, with the posture of making things big. To shut up. Zhan Tianxing glanced at the young mage from the island country who was shouting loudly, and spoke in a calm tone. But the moment he spoke, the general situation in the whole world seems to be taken away by him, making everyone subconsciously think that Zhan Tianxing is the only master of this world. The invisible but extremely terrifying coercion bent the back of the young mage of the island country, and then knelt down on the ground with a bang. Su Shin was horrified by the strength of the 9th-level Transcendent Master, and looked at Zhan Tianxing with some surprise. This is the real mage powerhouse. Now he has no power to resist in front of the 9th-level Transcendent Master, and will be instantly killed. However, taking advantage of Zhan Tianxing's power, Su Shin absorbed the 3-headed 6th-level magic and the soul of Yamada Jiro, and immediately increased his mental power by about 3,000, which is really profitable. With the increase of 3,000 mental power, Su Shin can increase the strength and magic value by about 30,000 through the magic training room afterwards. The official app is finally no longer stuck. The number of people who can challenge Su Shin dropped from over 10,000 to 0. Challengers can cancel the challenge, so that they can change their minds and challenge other ring masters. Now that Su Shin is killing people in the ring, but these challengers are quite frightened, how dare they choose to challenge Su Shin again? Su Shin, you have not disappointed me. The protest of the island mage was suppressed, and Zhan Tianxing's magic sound transmission rang in Su Shin's ear. Su Shin looked over. Zhan Tianxing showed a meaningful and satisfied smile to Su Shin. Su Shin, all your challenges have been cancelled, you can go back and rest first. Teacher Zhao Yang tried his best to calm down the turbulent waves in his heart, and reminded Su Shin on the stage. Su Shin nodded when he heard the words. It seems that the effect of killing chickens and monkeys is very good. If so, this preliminary round should be able to lie down leisurely. Brother, you are so powerful, you are so powerful. After stepping off the stage, I saw my old sister Yang Su trotting up with a red face, talking incoherently with excitement. It's just the beginning. Su Shin smiled and patted her sister's dog's head. This elite competition invites countries from all over the world. Maybe some countries will not allow their best geniuses to come, but it is undisputed that this is the first super large competition in the world where talented mages gather. When the top 900 players are selected, that is the real start of the elite competition. Yang Su, Jin Shisen and others wanted to see the performance of other ring masters, so Su Shin went back alone. His mental power has improved. Of course he can't wait to go to the magic training room to increase the value of his strength and magic value. No one would dislike themselves for being too strong, and Su Shin is no exception. Somewhere in the war zone, a group of 5 people from Water Temple gathered together. No wonder you, Leona, were a little concerned about Su Shin when you were in the Alchemy Society, so you have already seen his extraordinariness. Companion Chu Yu looked at Shui Leona, whose beautiful eyes were in a daze, and her words pulled her back from her thoughts. Well, I've already seen it. Shui Lianhua was taken aback, but she still admitted without blushing. I originally thought that most of the talented mages of the Kyushu Empire gathered in the imperial capital. After all, the imperial capital is the center of Kyushu. I didn't expect such a heaven-defying evildoer to appear in just one province in the south of the sky. At this age, he was only a 4th-rank high-ranking mage. Hua Yuk, the son of the god of water, looked at the back of Su Shin who was gradually leaving, and there was a touch of excitement on his face. It's really a blessing to be able to compete with such monsters on the same stage. Chu Yu took over the words and said, it is undeniable that this Su Shin is indeed terrifying, but he is only a 6th level mage after all, and there is a huge gap between the 6th and 7th levels. Su Xin has leapfrog fighting strength, but he can leapfrog to defeat ordinary 7th order mages, but Brother Hua, you are both a 7th rank mage and a genius mage. If Su Xin meets you in the future, he will probably lose too. Hua Yuk shook his head abruptly, and replied, he has shown almost invincible combat power of the same level in front of everyone, how can such monsters be overcome by common sense? What an evildoer, he's just a shameless little boy. Shui Lianghua muttered bitterly at the side. Thinking of Su Xin punching her heart, Shui Lianghua gritted her teeth with hatred. Except for Hua Yuk and other people from Water Temple. The disciples of the aristocratic family also set off a turmoil, as well as young mages from various countries, and the ringmasters of the 7th rank mages who were not challenged were also groaning in the audience. Su Xin's shock is too great. So much so that it has been half a day since he left, and the audience in the entire battle zone is still discussing him. Messaging in modern society is extremely exaggerated. Su Xin's performance has long been thoroughly fermented on the internet, not only on the network of the Kyushu Empire, but even on the networks of countries all over the world. Su Xin's performance in the second group arena began to spread. Titles such as an 18-year-old 6th level mage, an ordinary family background, and almost invincible combat power at the same level are simply flying around on the internet. Also from this day on, in the name of Su Xin, take off completely. Now, Kyushu Imperial University. The scale of Imperial Capital University is equivalent to 10 times that of Tian'an University, and just one student battle area is enough to accommodate 150 x 50 arenas. In the battle zone between the students of the Imperial Capital University, there were crowds of heads as far as the eye could see, and there were hundreds of thousands of people watching on the spot. And these hundreds of thousands of people, all of them have status and family background. On the left and right sides of the battle zone, viewing platforms were built, and princes, nobles and dignitaries gathered in luxurious viewing boxes one after another, toasting and laughing. Now, in a luxurious box, a cute girl with long gray hair is bored watching the battle on the ring below through the glass window in front of her. Sister Shui, the sun doesn't look good. Irena looked at it for a while and felt bored, so she complained to the iceberg girl beside her. Hey, Miss Zhou Shui, your younger sister has a pure personality. In the center of the room, a young man wearing a golden python robe sat with a smile and spoke with a refined tone, but his appearance looked a bit feminine. This is the 19th emperor's grandson of the Kyushu Empire. He is favored by the current emperor Qianyuan. He even became an 8th rank high-ranking mage at the age of 35. He can be said to be a man of the day in the entire Kyushu Empire. Although Emperor Qianyuan is about to die, he has not established a crown prince, so there are rumors that the 4th emperor of the Kyushu Empire is the 19th emperor, Sun Junhongming. You are young, just playful, but it made His Highness laugh. The iceberg girl Zhou Shui bowed slightly, her face still keeping a cool face. There were only the 3 of them in the entire box, and it was obvious that this Bingshan girl named Zhou Shui was the distinguished guest of the emperor's grandson Xia Hongming. Brother Huang, something serious has happened. At this time, the door of the box was pushed open roughly, and a beautiful girl in a luxurious purple flower dress ran in. Ruby, seeing that her sister was so disrespectful, Xia Hongming couldn't help frowning slightly, and her tone became more serious. Brother Huang, don't rush to scold me. It's really a big deal. It will be too late if Brother Huang doesn't act. Xia Mingyu stuck out her tongue and made a grimace. Immediately afterwards, she took out the technological equipment in her hand, and played Su Xin's second ring show in the form of light. Yeah, it's Mr. Li, a liar. Seeing the familiar face in the picture, Irena suddenly puffed up her cheeks, as if she was angry. The iceberg girl's reaction when she saw Irena was also a hint of coldness in her beautiful eyes. This is the man who tricked Irene into a stack of spellbooks. Mr. Li, he doesn't believe Li. His name is Su Xin, and he is the adopted son of a 4th-rank sergeant major in the garrison in Rongcheng, a subordinate province of Tian'an province. Xia Hongyu glanced at Irena, then continued. So, Xia Hongming was still sitting upright. Judging from the screen, this Su Xin was indeed performing well. The sword magic was performed with ease, showing the mystery of the sword magic instant kill. JJ, it's just a 6th-rank mage. Not to mention Xia Hongming's power in the imperial capital, and there are several holy mage dukes who sit in one province to secretly support him, so why lack 10 consorts of sword demons? That's why, Brother Huang, you have to put away the arrogance in your heart. This Su Shin is only 18 years old this year. What? As soon as these words came out, Xia Hongming stood up abruptly, her upright demeanor completely gone. 18-year-old 6th order mage. Or from an ordinary family. Why is this monstrosity Tianzhou famous now? Xia Hongming shouted with a sullen face, how do the people under his hands do things? But suddenly thought of something. He regained his composure and sat down again, and said to his younger sister, I'm afraid this Su Shin has been accepted as an apprentice by Tian Nangong. No, Tian'an didn't accept him as an apprentice. The news we have received so far is that only Tian'an University's principal Zan is training him, but there is no master-student relationship between the two. Zan Tianxing, he belongs to Uncle Mu. Xia Hongming's heart tightened. King Mu Xia Xuanmu is the 18th son of Emperor Qianyuan. He is already 150 years old, but his strength is a 9th-level transcendent master, and he is also a strong contender for the crown prince. Brother Huang, act quickly, there must be someone who has already started to contact Su Shin in Tian'an province. If you don't go, if everyone else goes, then there must be nothing wrong with you. Xia Hongyu urged. In the emperor's house, intrigues are inevitable, but Xia Hongyu is only a first-class daughter, but she can't be an emperor, and she is Xia Hongming's own sister, so she is quite trusted by Xia Hongming. Miss Zhou Shui, I'm sorry for not being with you in this way. Xia Hongming nodded heavily. An 18-year-old 6th-level mage, the entire Kyushu Empire plus Su Shin only has 4, how can he not fight for it? Your Highness can do it himself. There were some slight changes in Zhou Xueqing's cold face. After Xia Hongming's brother and sister left, only then did Zhou Shui ask Irena, was the person who cast the sword magic just now, Mr. Li, who lied to you about the magic book? It's him, our big liar Li Feiyu. Irena didn't know anything about power struggles, and she was reminded of it, and she is still angry with Su Shin. After all, she really regarded Su Shin as a good friend at the beginning, and she was very fond of him. HMPH, Mr. Li was found by me. Sister Shui, let's go find him. I want to ask him face to face why he lied to me in the first place. Irena suddenly thought of something, and looked at Zhou Shui with a pleading gaze. I can't go. Zhou Shui shook her head, feeling a little emotional in her heart. If I had known that this child was so evil, I shouldn't have taken Irena away in a hurry. Instead, I continued to search in the continent of Warcraft, and maybe I could form some good karma with that Su Shin. As for the magic book, Zhou Shui didn't care anymore. As long as Su Shin chooses any grandson, uncle or lord at random, there will be no shortage of magic books. But when he comes to the imperial capital, I can take you to meet him. Zhou Shui changed her words suddenly. Obviously this woman also took a fancy to Su Shin's talent as a great emperor. Then, well, 1 inch, Irena hummed lightly, and subconsciously looked down. The hundreds of thousands of spectators below are already boiling at this moment. These spectators were whispering to each other at this time, but the topic of discussion was not the battle of genius mages in the arena in front of them, but Su Shin. Really, an 18-year-old 6th-level mage. The videos on the internet are going crazy. The 18th generation of Su Shin's monstrous ancestors have been stripped clean. How can there be fakes? I thought that there are usually only a few talented mages in the local area who are qualified to compare with the talented students of the Imperial University. I didn't expect that Su Shin would suddenly appear today, overwhelming all the Tiantuan students of my Imperial University Yinzhu. It's really an exaggeration. The first freshman of Imperial University this year is just a 5th-rank low-rank mage. This Su Shin can instantly kill a 6th-rank high-ranking mage. Speaking of which, if this Su Shin is ruthless enough to kill people directly in the arena, I'm afraid he is not some kind of arrogant person. If I were 18 years old like him, I would be the most madman in the world. Discussion crazy. Hundreds of thousands of people are talking about Su Shin. And not only Imperial University. The same is true for the students of the other 7 top mage universities in the Kyushu Empire in the war zone. The news has only fermented for half a day on the internet. In addition, this is the first global mage elite competition, and the popularity is unprecedentedly exaggerated, so that Su Xin has become a household name in the Kyushu Empire today. His name, his appearance, spread all over the internet. Not only on the exclusive forums for mages, but also on the social networks of ordinary people, Su Xin is also frantically swiping the screen. If the popularity can already be a true god, Su Xin will instantly become a god today. Mwangfu, the imperial capital. King Mu was overjoyed. He looked at the subordinates in front of him, and ordered loudly, immediately go to Tianan province to hand over Zhan Tianxing, if possible, immediately bring Su Xin to the imperial capital. Mu Palace. No matter what conditions Su Xin puts forward, as long as it doesn't want my king's head, I can agree to it. Quick, quick, go there immediately. Wait, bring Princess Yuha there too. We're all the same age, maybe we can find some common topics. The subordinate kneeling on one knee in front of him is not an ordinary person, but an 8th level mage. Yes, the 8th rank mage is his subordinate, which shows how powerful this King Mu is. Emperor Qianyuan was about to collapse, and any of his ambitious heirs had already started recruiting troops and buying horses, waiting for Lao Su to ascend to heaven and then fight for the throne. Emperor Qianyuan knew this. After all, his throne did not come smoothly. 1.9. An 18-year-old 6th level mage with almost invincible combat performance at the same level, this Su Xin. I must recruit him. And what Su Xin is using is a sword magic that has never been shown before. He himself possesses a special magic that can make his body extremely powerful. After the men left, King Mu's Kong Wu's powerful face was full of determination and cruelty. Not only his prince, the rest of the princes and grandsons who wanted to fight for the throne also took action immediately. For a while, Su Xin became the favorite in the eyes of these big figures in the imperial capital, and everyone wanted to recruit Su Xin into their ranks. This is normal, because in their view, the price of attracting a holy mage is too high, and to attract a monstrous genius like Su Xin, you only need to provide the cultivation resources you can control, and as long as the latter has such a heaven-defying posture, as long as he does not fall, it is only a matter of time before he becomes a holy mage. It is impossible to cultivate a holy mage with his own hands, so the feelings are naturally deep. King Mu sat anxiously on the chair. He can't wait to hear the result now. In a frenzy called Su Xin, some people jumped out, not sensible. That is when the representative of the island country asked Su Xin why he intentionally killed the genius mage of the island country. Therefore, the official immediately added a rule, that is, as long as the opponent has the obvious willingness to admit defeat, no matter whether they say, I admit defeat, or not, then they must not continue to shoot, otherwise they will be defeated. Considered disqualified from the competition. The official will not really admit that Su Xin committed murder on purpose. After all, that Jiro Yamada did not fully say, I admit defeat. So far, the island country can only suffer from being dumb. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.